so glad it's not midnight.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to hopefully what won't be, but maybe the Midnight Reviews. This time we are reviewing the much anticipated, the much talked about, something I feel like we've talked about on this podcast since the beginning, the Obi-Wan series. So we'll be here for, of course, these first two episodes, and then every episode after that. I am the number one Kylo Ren fanboy, maybe hashtag number one Ben fanboy, Travis Snell, and I'm joined by
Dark Lord of the Sith, Kirklin Patzer.
I'm Purge Taylor Field.
Yes, ladies and
Solo
gentlemen.
2 happened. I love how you're doing some
Okay,
advertising
get
there.
that away. We literally talked about 2 weeks ago. She's like, "Oh, we're never having anyone play Han Solo over again," and like, here you go, make Solo 2 happen. But here we are, we're talking Star Wars. Now, when this is on the feed, originally we had a big switch up because this actually premiered at 9 p.m. PST for us, so we got to watch it nice and early. Disney Plus, if you're hearing it, please just do it, because even for the Eastern people, it's more likely they'll stay up to midnight. They don't want to stay up till 2 a.m. And guess what? If they're not going to stay up 2 a.m., not going to stay up to midnight, they're still sleeping. So this would be great. I'd love to change the midnight reviews to the 9 p.m. reviews. But either way, I digress. It was a nice gift to be given. So our newscast for the audio listeners, no difference to you. You're going to have the audio feeds where we have 2 Obi-Wan episodes, and then you'll have the newscasts. And we'll be breaking down all stars. So if you like what we do here, we'll be breaking down the Andor trailer. I think we have all seen the leaked Mandalorian 3 trailer. We're going to talk about that John Watts show, Law show, everything like that. So we got tons of stuff popping off in the Star Wars world. So just go down below. Taylor Field, when we're popping off with all this stuff, where can they find us?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us with your internet connection in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerseCast is our Twitter, and GeekVerse on our Facebook.
Yeah, if you like what we do, head down links below and everything's there, our audio, our video feeds. We got lots of stuff, lots of news popping off. We have the Roast of Taylor Field, which is happening this Saturday, May 28th, 6 p.m. PST. We'll have a Top Gun review at some point. We'll have a wrap up of Star Wars Celebration. So yeah, head down link below, follow social media. That's where you find everything. And the best way to support us, if you like what we do, if you want to get more of what we do, head over to Patreon, because not only when you support us do you get more content like retrospectives, like side quest, like extra newscasts, get ad-free episodes, get early episodes. You get to join for After 9, so you can join for the roast, be in the audience. You get exclusive episodes, whether that's the originals, whether that is the bread and butter, After 9, the audio edition. So tons of stuff. So we very much appreciate that. If you like what we do, head over there and do that. And yeah, we're going to just jump right into it because we got a lot to talk about tonight. So we're going to go non-spoiler. So what we're going to do is we're going to go episode by episode, because sometimes we do amalgamation. It's not like WandaVision, we had those nice like 22-minute episodes, but these are some girthy episodes. So we'll kind of go in order. So we're going to go episode 1. We'll do non-spoilers. And then for the audio, maybe a little bit different stuff like that. But either way, we're going to do non-spoilers. And you know what? I'm gonna take the baton here, because this is I talked about this past few days how, man, Obi-Wan, I need a win here, you know. And it's tough because there's already been so much about the series that I've heard. I don't know. And there's even some of that in the series where I don't know. But man, I just have to say, let's fucking go. You know, like, and if these next 4 episodes can be this quality or close to it, man, they've hit a home run. Now I'm gonna wait and see, because I remember the first 2 episodes of Hawkeye were the same thing. We're like, man, this could be one of MCU's best things ever. Still liked Hawkeye, but it had deterring, quality. But this, the thing I trust about the most, Deborah fucking Chow, because she's directing every episode. Also, everyone's talked about her. She's like the Star Wars darling, right? But in Mandalorian, even that first season was like, man, who directed this episode? It's like, oh, Deborah Chow. She's fucking fantastic. And we've talked about this with Star Wars and more so Marvel, where some of these feel like series and some of them feel like one big movie. This feels like one big movie in the best possible way, jumping from 1 to 2. Like, I love that we're gonna get like, okay, not a 6-hour, but what, 3.5, 4-hour movie. And this was, honestly, everything was pretty much perfect. There's a few little nitpicks with each episodes I have, but I guess if I'm just talking about episode 1 is my favorite. But because I've been preaching this for years, I told Taylor, all I want is a show about Obi-Wan being fucked up in the desert, having some PTSD, having worries. And I remember Taylor being like, oh no, he's too calm. He has that emotion check. No, that's what I love. Minor spoilers. He does not have that in check. He's a fucking mess. And that's what I love, that even Deborah Chow compared this to Joker and Logan. I don't know where the Joker comparison's coming in, but the Logan, everything I wanted from Obi-Wan, I got in that first episode. And we're still getting in episode 2, but everything was a knockout. Like if I was doing episode 1, to me it was like a 10 out of 10. All of my gripes are like small little things. It'd be like maybe a joke that didn't work here, or maybe a few characters we meet a part of a gang that are like I don't know. But the core of the show is great, and what we all wanted. The reason we've been talking about this for years, even though we had the prequels, and even though it's like, oh, what could you do with it? Ewan fucking McGregor. I'm just putting everyone's name and then the fuck in the middle, but this is why we wanted this show. It's just so fucking good. Like he didn't feel like he lost a beat. He still feels like he's playing that great transition between like the young Obi-Wan to old Ben and stuff like that. He has like little moments where there is the old like kind of cocky flamboyant Obi-Wan, but there's almost like this new Obi-Wan we're meeting. It's just fantastic. It's so good. All the stuff they're doing, the Inquisitors, is like, I feel like the Sith stuff we love, even though, yeah, I complain and go, these Inquisitors, I don't know how I feel about them. That whole thing about greediness and power, they're hidden. That's like all these things of Star Wars, they're hitting perfectly. And my last point is, they're having like fan service and cameos, but to me, this feels like Force Awakens, where it's the perfect amount. It's either story driven or just something kind of off in the background. It's not like, there's one I'm sure in episode 2 that Taylor loves, but even that, it's just like, it feels like, oh, nice little wink and nod, and then we move on. It's not like the guy I always bring up Rogue One, where he brings up like, oh, I have 5 deaf, whatever he said. What's his line when he's like, I have 5 wanted systems, or he's the guy that got an old Ben's face in New Hope. Remember that in Rogue One? He's like doing his whataboutism and stuff like that, and that's where it's like, oh, we spent so much time to like zoom in on him, and man, yeah, I absolutely love this. And even we'll talk about episode 2, but even just in episode 1, I was like, man, I'm ready. And this just from directing, acting, everything. Again, only minor gripes that there's part of me, if this is long, like 3.5, 4 hours, then I like it being a series. There is sometimes where we get some desert shots where it still doesn't look like the movie, like quality Star Wars. There are a few times, or a few little CGI animals where I go, oh, I wish we had like a little more budget. But again, just few little gripes. Yeah. Home run for me so far. So let's see. We got 4 more weeks. I hope, even if it's not always this height, if it's in this ballpark of quality, it's good. And like I said, there's even stuff that we'll talk about in spoilers that I going in the series like, I don't think I'll really like this. And the way they went about it, man, thumbs up. So Kirk and Pat, I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, man. I don't want to say I like didn't have that much hype like for this one, but it just, I don't know. There was that asterisk just with like how let down I was with Boba Fett. So like, excitement, but like in a not as high of a caliber that I would expect for like an Obi-Wan TV series show. So I mean, you guys called me. I was in the shower. You guys told me the news that it was coming out at 9, so I was super pumped from that. Just knowing I don't have to stay up to the wee hours to report on it. I'm just a little bit more awake and like ready to just talk about it and amped up, but. Yeah, I completely agree, man. I was so blown away. I was completely in it like the first 10 minutes of the first episode. I will say like I had some minor gripes with, like you were saying. I think more with the first episode, and I think the second episode kind of fixed some of those gripes. I'll explain further when we get to that episode and just some spoilery section of the review here. But yeah, overall I think they did such a good job releasing like these 2 episodes. Like it's such a great first 2 episodes. Like I think if just the first episode came out, it would have been a really good pilot for the TV series. But still, like it's just such a good combo. Like I think it accentuates like the first. I guess I'm just talking about the first episode right now. I'm just so blown away about what I saw. But yeah, overall, I agree with you. I think like the healthy balance between like Easter eggs and just like nods to like old Star Wars stuff is really good. I find there's such a wide, diverse variety of like aliens and stuff in this TV series. It's so fun. I like I love like the aliens I'll see on like Tatooine. That's just like, oh yeah, no, there's that guy that I see in like every Star Wars thing. But I feel like there was quite a few like new ones too that I had never seen before, and costume designs were so off the charts. Like they looked so good. I was so impressed with just like the quality of everything. Like you mentioned some CGI things, and I remember even in like with the one trailer, I was kind of like poking at some moments of like when he's on like that bus basically like after work, like like, and then it's just like a bright desert background and it kind of looked weird. It didn't even really bother me, like, so I was happy with that I didn't get caught up in that moment. Maybe I was just so like happy to be watching the show. I was able to just look past that. But yeah, I know like the CGI looked pretty damn good compared to like some other TV series. Like we were talking about some issues we had with Moon Knight, like that logging truck here, but like I didn't have any moments like that really. Like there was a couple maybe, if I want to split hairs and really nitpick
Mhm.
it, sure, but overall it looked really really good. And yeah, like it almost felt like that movie budget, and I think Ewan just like 11 out of 10, man. He like I was like almost tearing up, honestly, like early on in the first episode. Like it's very emotional, like start to the show, I would say, again without getting into spoilers, but I just felt really, I don't know, like I I think that feeling of like emotion that I was explaining, like I think I would expect to have that maybe later on in the show, but like for them to just hit me with that like in the first 10 minutes, I'm like, man, I think I'm in for something special here. And yeah, I was blown away. So without rambling on too much further, I guess a non-spoiler thing I'll say also is like the sound and the music and just like the sound design is 100%, man. Like it is so good. There was moments when I just had goosebumps with like a certain audio thing that would go. Again, I'll talk more spoilery stuff, but I think yeah, I think I'll pass it on there. But super super impressed, and I think this is, I mean, it doesn't have that much competition other than Mandalorian, but I definitely think this is gonna be my favorite Star Wars Disney Plus thing so far, and so great, to have that feeling after just the first two episodes, because like if it was just like an okay, like I think that would have been big disappointment, right? Because
Oh,
it's
yes.
Obi-Wan, like it's the biggest Star Wars like returning character, or just like,
I
would
think
you
after
argue-
the original trilogy, yes. I think
Yeah.
once we got Ford, Hamill, and Fisher, it's like, okay, who's
Yeah.
next? Ewan would be next on that list, 100%.
Exactly, and like he's the one that we haven't really revisited, right? Like we had Ford back, yeah. Like we had the three back, returning for the
Chewie.
new trilogy. Chewie, yeah, that's right.
He was
Chewie.
back. Yeah. Yoda even came back. Everyone's come back
Yoda-
except for Ewan and Hayden.
Exactly, but here we are. So without further ado, I'll pass along. That was a long, just rambling on, but I'm so pumped, man. This is so exciting.
Before Taylor goes, I do gotta say that for the theme of Obi-Wan, that's John Williams, but don't forget the person scoring this is the same. I can't I'll look her name up, but it's the same one that did Loki, who obviously banger job with
yeah.
that. So I like
Good
this.
to know.
This show's like, oh, who's the best Star Wars director in Disney Plus? Deborah Chow. Who's the best score in Disney Plus? Like feels like just the grade A talent. Like, hey, we're gonna put them in Obi-Wan. So Taylor, I'm very interested because I feel like you and I've had a very different journey where we've talked about what Obi-Wan could be. I feel like it's some of our early, so I'll have to track it down and see like. Some of our earliest Cantina conversations are about like if this could happen, a movie, a show, and it's finally here. And what do you think about it? What do you think about 2 episodes? Because you know what, I was gonna do the 2 separated. We're just gonna do them together because I can tell we'll do too much holding off. We're like, oh, I don't want to,
Yeah.
because I hate that when people are like, oh, I'll make my point like later and never know. So the first 2 non-spoiler, and then we get spoilers. We're gonna take your gloves off, talk about everything that we saw this past pretty much hour and a half. Hates it.
Yeah,
He's the opposite. Like,
show.
yeah,
This is
just like
garbage acting. Garbage
it's us with
acting.
Rogue One, where we dislike Rogue One, and Taylor's like, "What are you guys talking about? This fucking Obi-Wan show."
This just blew it out of the water for me. The moment, and this isn't a spoiler, but it's just obviously just like a recap, and it was just giving like highlights of the prequels and stuff, and that just cemented it for me right there. I was like, oh, we're in for a ride. Like I'm so on for this right now. Let's go. And from there on, I was just like lights off in the living room, just totally. And I felt like I was watching a movie. I really, really did. And I think that's fantastic because it's like, yeah, part 1, part 2. And it was just delivering every step of the way. So you guys said it, like the score and the acting and just how everyone was coming together and how this whole environment and scene and setting that we were witnessing, it felt Star Wars. Like you said, Travis, had that Force Awakens vibe where we're back in this universe. And it's so interesting how it feels different from your Mandalorian and your Book of Boba Fett to a degree where it's it feels very familiar to us, I guess. I don't know if it's based on the time period maybe or whatnot, but it feels familiar. So yeah, Taylor in tears.
It was a good
Honestly,
recap.
it had a similar
Yeah.
effect for me, honestly. Like
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, do I skip this? No, absolutely not. This is awesome. I was totally in it.
And it felt weird because it's like we're getting like a TV show recap for like a 6-hour trilogy of films and whatnot. But I think it also, the reason I imagine for Taylor Tears is I feel like we've had moments, but this was the most steep Disney has been in like the prequel era of Star Wars, not counting animation, obviously, because animation, they went hard on that. But like this, like, oh, it's because I'm like, oh, are they even going to like flash forward and show some of the original trilogy stuff. Like I know that Obi-Wan dies, but it's like we all know that they could show that, but no, it's just like this is literally picking up from Revenge of the Sith, not literally, but that those films, right, in that continuity for us, and it was a good recap because I almost thought about skipping it too. I'm like, no, I'll see what they got, and it was worth it. It got me. For someone that's not even a big fan of prequels, like okay, I'm ready to go right now.
Yeah.
It's again, like when it comes to Star Wars movies, like Revenge of the Sith, Empire Strikes Back, Rogue One, those are like that's my holy trinity. So when we're diving back into the dark times again with this, it's such a, I know it's a repetitive concurrent theme for Star Wars. They always love going into the dark times, but at the same time, it just becomes surreal and gets me when you have these different perspectives. And again, with Obi-Wan in this time period, there were just so many different surprises. And again, the story and the narrative that they were driving, it clicked in near like for like part 2. I was like, oh shit, like this is a genius thing. I never would have thought of this, like what they're trying to pull here. I thought this is a great narrative that they're running with. So I was all for it. And again, like just the acting was just fantastic. It was so cool to see again, like Uncle Owen and all that just kind of like coming about. So yeah.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say from a few other non-spoilers things is like we got it with Jedi Fallen Order and a few other things, but we haven't seen in the live action sense the Jedi's being hunted down really. You know, like when you get to New Hope,
Not in live action.
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, non live action and that's going to be for a lot of people first time. You know, like Kirklin didn't watch Bad Batch or not bad. What the hell, Rebels? Like, and there's millions of people that haven't watched Rebels. So it's like in live action, this is your first time you're seeing that male push. Because in New Hope, it's kind of like, the Jedi are gone. You know, that's why I never liked the whole, there's still Ahsoka around, there's still that, but whatever, we're past that. But for me, I like this is like, okay, we still have some on the underlining, you know. Well, and this is why I'm saying though, like, yes, but here that's the difference where I don't. That's where we'll get into Andor when we do our newscast. Movies about the dark times, I don't really care about. What I care about this is about Obi-Wan in that dark time. Like this is him, like his personal journey going through that. It's a one-person perspective, pretty much. Of course, we're meeting some other characters, but that's what I like. And it's a character that we're so steeped into. Or Andor, it's gonna be very political and assassins, and it looks like fun and all. But like this is a very clear vision of what it is, and I think the reason why I'm really hopefully gonna love this is I think we've talked about this maybe in our commentary tracks a long time ago, but like it always felt weird. Revenge of Sith happens, Anakin becomes Darth Vader in those last 5 minutes, and that's the joke, right? Like the entire Empire switched like their threads over, like those guys are now stormtroopers. All these guys, like it just looks like we're like there was no
New
middle ground.
Basically,
Yeah,
they got all new gear. Yeah,
yeah, there was no middle ground. And I was always with some people where we probably should have just done episode 2. Like episode 2 should have been episode 1, episode 3 should have been episode 2, and then there was like a missing chunk there of like what did happen. It just felt like that last little bit of Revenge is just so like fast forward. This kind of feels like my Revenge or like episode 3.5. Like it is that great kind, and I worried about that, and we'll still see. But even I don't even want to say spoilers, but that's what I love. Like everything I kind of still wanted from the prequels, it feels like it's kind of giving me that with. I'm sorry, it's a much better, I'd say, like acting and directing going on, whether that's the volume, whether that is just people, even said it was a easier go around this time, and that's because George, he's about the spectacle. He's not really about the acting. So that's why I like this character based thing. And if Andor can do that, that's what I'm hoping. But sometimes with the dark times, it's just about Empire versus the rebellion. It's like, well, we've been there so many times where this isn't Empire versus rebellion. It's not, this is about Obi-Wan versus himself, and then maybe some other things down the line. But
yeah, there's quite a lot going on. Like it definitely is Obi-Wan against himself, but also just still like hunting down just stray Jedi. Like just that concept going hand to hand with Obi-Wan's own internal struggle. Like I just think it's such a healthy balance. And there were certain things, again, I won't say yet for spoiler-free section, but that was going on like maybe near the end of the first episode where I'm like, like what's gonna happen here? But then in episode 2, I think it really saved that for me. And what I wanted to add, the George Lucas thing, how you say like he's all about the spectacle and like really just having like the Star Wars world, whether it's creatures just like up the yin yang. I think it had a healthy balance of that. Like
100%.
it had quite a lot of just random alien shots of like a little alien digging in the sand here and there, or like like stuff like that going on where like again I'm totally engaged on the immersion. I feel like I'm in in the Star Wars universe, but then there's just terrific writing and acting going on. Like the line deliveries is so good. Like it's just such a great mix. And I think also something that maybe I overlooked of like what the potential this show could have. Like I remember some of my cons was like I don't want this show to like maybe bring down certain things that happened in the original trilogy, right? Because
100%.
this is a lead up to it. But from what I've seen already, it's crazy because I'm like opposite. I think it's honestly boosting some things that happened in episode 4. I'll speak more specifics when we get there, and it's honestly boosting the prequels for me.
I agree.
Like
Yeah.
there's
It's
so
having the
many
no
things.
time to die effect, which is
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
exactly. And I like I understand why I had those thoughts, coming from Boba and just where the state of Star Wars was. But man, what a sit! Like again, only first 2 episodes. I guess it could go either direction here. I'm optimistic that it's from what I've seen, it's going to be going in the right direction. But still, man, like for me to just have that flip in like the first 2 episodes. Tip my hat off to them, like round of applause. Like it is so impressive, and I'm so excited for next week, and I'm so glad I have that thought, honestly, because yeah, I always root on the Sith and like dark side all the way, but Obi-Wan was my Jedi growing up. Like I really love that character, and for me, like I was at that age when the prequels were coming out in theaters, so like I saw Ewan as my Obi-Wan, not again
Guinness.
yeah, thank you. So like it's nostalgia, like it's so many different things that I'm just so giddy about, and fuck, it was awesome.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing where, and we'll get into it in spoilers, but I've always used Dexter's example where obviously the ending was very rushed, but I was someone that went, okay, I was never a fan of what they wanted to do with that Harrison character, right? But I was okay, let's see how they do it. And then for the most part, I was like, okay, they're selling me on this. And I had the same thing with this show. Like, okay, there's a few things in here that I'm not really keen of, like the pitch of like, okay, this is the Obi-Wan show, and here's the pitch. Like, okay, the pitch, like I'm happy to see Ewan again, but I don't know if we need to go down this route. And now that we're going down this route, okay, now I'm seeing, you showed me what the color page looked like. I didn't like the picture, but you're sure making it look nice. So again, like you said, 2 episodes, anything can happen. The next 3 could be, X4 could be like, man, it really does hurt the prequels. It does hurt the whatever, like, but it's off to a good start. To me, there was 2 big things which are on spoilers, and one they completely checked off. I was like, okay, for years I've complained about this one thing, and they solved it. Now there's another elf in the room. What do we do there? And anything else on spoilers? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen it, because maybe it's dropping at a weird time, we will be getting into spoilers right now. So we'll take our break as usual. If you've not seen it, please come back, go watch Obi-Wan, and let us know what you thought. But we'll be getting spoilers after this ad break. And we're back. So I feel like we got to start with Obi-Wan himself, right? So I want to go to you because you and I have talked about this for years. How did you feel about Obi-Wan? Because I've always said that was my pitch. Like, I want a beat up, broken down Obi-Wan that just messed up. And you always talk about like Jedi and him being composed and how we meet him. New Hope's really composed. But my pitch was like, yeah, but what is it? 30 years, right? It's 30 years in between that. Like that's what it is, right? Between Revenge of the Sith and New Hope, is it 30 years?
10 years
20.
after Order 6.
20 years?
Between Revenge and A New Hope was 20
Ewan's
years.
supposed to age into Al Guinness in 10 years. Fuck, these next 10 years are
The
even
Tatooine
harder.
Sands.
Yeah, even
Didn't
harder than we
see.
thought. But
He
still,
hits that spice. That's what he's doing.
even so, 20 years, lots of time, right? So how did you feel about this rendition of Obi-Wan? It's, to me, like, very much like Logan. He's working at some shit job he doesn't like. He's just trying to make as much money to get by. He keeps seeing trouble. He wants to get involved in it, but he won't. He backs away. Like, I ate up all this shit, but how are you with it?
Again, it's Star Wars, so I eat it up. I really do. Looking into the past now, before we had Inquisitors and all that, all we could really see is just 2 Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's being like grounded and just who he is at the end of episode 3, and then being completely grounded and knows where he stands as being a Jedi in A New Hope. And that was for the longest point in time my baseline foundation, and segued into my belief that, okay, he's always just going to be this composed. Even when we see him in Star Wars Rebels, I
was going to say, Rebels you always brought up to me of like, look, Travis.
Again, he was super, super composed in
Yeah.
Rebels, so it just, again, reiterated that thought, okay, he's just this peak Jedi, and he's got nothing to worry about, basically. So now we're in this situation where they blatantly showcase this PTSD, that he is traumatized. He's having nightmares, which I thought, holy fuck, this was like crazy. And like again,
Well, it's a
an
good flip on
episode,
Anakin, because that's like
it
the thing
is.
about Anakin would always be having these nightmares. And obviously, I was like of the future, but now, like, Obi-Wan, yeah, sure, is he seeing film footage of like he should have never seen like Annie in that cockpit in episode 1? Yeah, but whatever, fuck it. It's like it's great that he's like he's bugging out, like he's having all these flashbacks to everything, and they're like fun edited flashbacks of like Haynes like looking over his shoulder all evilly and stuff like that. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah, it definitely. It's just traumatizing. It is so traumatizing. And these moments, like when he was having that and he's trying to sleep, like it got to me. I really felt bad for him. And then all of a sudden, now jump to the end of episode 2 when you get that reveal. I didn't think they'd go there, but again, it makes sense. Like, oh, he's not gonna. He doesn't have the internet or the HoloNet or whatever you got going on in Star Wars land. So he's
Especially
not
where
gonna
he's
be,
living.
especially where he's living. So. I was sold again on that. Like it just worked, and I just felt like okay, like I'm riding off of these nightmares. Now I'm really riding and digging onto the fact that he didn't know Anakin survived, and it's just the trauma that he's experiencing, how he cut himself off from the Force, and he was struggling to lift Leia up. I really like that because that's a big thing for Jedi when we see them after the Purge, just trying to like tap in. Like big thing with Cal Kestis too, and Fallen Order actually was just trying to like reconnect to the Force when after they cut themselves off. And everything about him just like shutting out like Organa, Leia, and all that stuff. I thought that was great. So his main goal was just to focus on Luke. Yeah, just the fear, just hiding. I literally, I didn't know how to process it when, except equate it to the fact like, oh, you're in a situation where you don't want to be recognized. Like you're at a party or something like that. And
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know who you're talking
it's
about,
you.
man.
It's
Yeah.
you. Like, yeah, I don't know. You're thinking of someone else.
I'm not from here. Yeah, we didn't go to the same school.
As soon as this guy shows up, like, you're Obi-Wan. And I'm thinking, oh, this is the worst thing that can happen. You got 3 Inquisitors roaming the Dune Sea here, and you
Yeah.
just get spotted out by a Jedi that not only knows you're a Jedi, but knows your name. It's just, I felt so uncomfortable.
That
So-
Jedi was he's one of the directors of Uncut Gems and Good Times. So
Oh,
he's one of the Safdie
interesting.
brothers. So yeah, I saw him like, oh, there. I heard he was in the series, and there he was. But yeah, Kirklin, what do you think about? Oh, actually, sorry, I was gonna ask Taylor one thing because he's a bit more canon knowledge of
Do it.
us.
Ask it. Ask
the
Yeah, okay,
question.
fine. There's just so much. I don't want to forget anything. There's just so much to go to.
There is so much.
wi-
I took so many notes for these
Yeah,
because I
this
didn't
is-
want to miss anything.
This is 10 years from Revenge of the Sith, right? He just 10 years ago, he bobbed Anakin, blah, blah. So has Lord Vader, is he just quiet myth at this point? Because that's what I think we
No.
always. So that's the thing, though. I guess, like you said, he's not in contact with the real world. So I guess I can take that. I guess it's short. Like I guess I can buy it. I just have to see because yeah, if he's been roaming for 10 years and that name Darth Vader has never gone back to Tatooine at all, might be like a little like rare to me. But I can eat it. I can eat the excuse maybe. But
Yeah. I was gonna add on to that, but I guess we're talking Obi-Wan right now before we go Vader.
just
'Cause I
do.
was-
We're talking
Okay.
about it now. Yeah.
Because like for me personally, this could be just my lack of like canon knowledge, but it felt really weird that Reva.
I was listening to your predictions where this was a reoccurring topic.
Yeah. She just like for me it's weird that like they just know that he's Anakin Skywalker because like for me personally I feel like
Yeah, that's a con. Yeah.
I feel like they
Unless
should
they're
just-
fucking. That's the only way I'll accept it.
She meets him in his back to tank, slaps
Yeah.
some cheeks. Because like it's like okay, like
I don't think he has
maybe-
any cheeks to slap anymore,
I
Kirkland.
like no, probably not. It's pretty firm. It's not jiggly.
Yeah, it's just like a sponge.
Because like I feel like that would be such like need to know information, and like really it would only be like Darth Sidious and then like
Well,
the
Taylor-
droids that saved him. Taylor.
Yeah, I was
Help me
gonna
out.
say, and there's a certain book I feel like with a certain blue alien that you like. That's a big point of view of like that alien knows because that's what I've read some
Now
books.
I gotta
I've
read the
read some-
Thrawn books.
Yeah,
Now I'm getting all
I've-
giddy.
because the animated stuff, but even from my point of view, the Jedi are evil. But from my other point of view is Rebels builds up this whole thing that Ahsoka doesn't 100% know Darth Vader's Anakin, but it's kind of this big reveal and everything. So I feel like in multiple canons it has been played up that, okay, people know Darth Vader. They know he's this, big Sith that works with Palpatine and he's the second in command. Don't mess, mostly second in command. I know there's other Grand Moffs, but it's like, you don't want to mess with this guy. You see him, you have a problem. But I feel like other than maybe if the show explains something, which I will bring up to maybe defend Reva, if they bring up some sort of reason why she would know it's Anakin Skywalker, it did feel very out of left field that she's just like, oh yes, Lord Vader, Anakin's alive. And it was just, this felt like they really need some exposition here, but it felt like he could have figured it out, because we see this footage, which is always a con for me at the prequels, when Yoda's like, look at this stuff, and it's just like Anakin's entire backstory of Revenge of Sith. Like, he's like, they have it all taped, like he's bowing to Palpatine,
basically.
Yeah.
Like, there's no secret footage.
It's like they haven't deleted this shit at all. And even that's why, look at this, Fanboy Clay, a good point. Why is Reva finding out Leia is a Skywalker from an archive?
That, I'm gonna put that to bed right now.
But that's the thing. There could be something. What if for some reason that Anakin stuff was deleted, but somehow she got it, right? Like, I'm ready for the show to explain that to me. I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. But it does feel like if they don't, it just felt like they needed exposition for the GA to realize, like, oh, he knows that Darth Vader is Anakin, even though he saw that video clip of Palpatine saying, you are now Lord Vader. So he would know. He'd be like, yeah. So that's where I think there's a disconnect there. So
so when you look at the Jedi hunters, like, Vader did go out and do some things like to kill Jedi, but it wasn't he wasn't like the dominant face of that. He trained the Inquisitors. The Inquisitors were the public face of being Jedi hunters, right? Now Reva going out and finding out that Leia is a Skywalker, that is totally not a thing right now until they actually state it in the show, because she did not know that.
Thank you. Thank you. I was going to say, I didn't catch that. The reason she did that is she found in the archives that Bail and Obi-Wan were close.
They were close.
Yeah,
that's what she was using.
Yeah, and she used his daughter, which I liked, because my whole thing for like 5 years has been like, why the fuck is Obi-Wan leaving Tatooine? To me, this is a good pitch of, yeah, sure. Even I love fucking Jimmy Smits. Jimmy Smits is a fucking man. He needs to be in the MCU or the DCU. Like, I just want Jimmy Smits in everything. He's just such a natural actor, and we'll get to him, but like, when he pretty much just calls him a coward. Like, you're not leaving because of the boy, you're just leaving for pretty much just saying because you're scared. You think you'll lose. It's not because you have to protect the boy, it's because you're protecting yourself. And I love they just call him out, because it's still like, yeah, okay, you got to protect Luke. But even those conversations in Empire, they go, there is another, right? So both Obi-Wan and Yoda clearly think there's a chance Leia could be force sensitive. She could be powerful politically, powerfully. So there is, for me, that checked that box of why should Obi-Wan leave? Okay, Leia's in danger. If they're right now, yeah, they don't know she's a Skywalker, but if they find out she is a Skywalker or related to Padme, we're really fucked. And like, there could be even more things that could happen. So I bought that as like, you got to go. We don't trust anybody. People are getting abducted on my home planet by these really bad actors who are the gangs, which we couldn't find anybody else. We couldn't find any other actors. And we'll get to the gang people, but no, 100% I'm with Taylor that they just said that they were friends and that's his daughter, which that's believable. It's sure Star Wars is a little small time, sure, but I believe that it's just okay because he's a powerful figure. They were friends. Taking your daughter, we're gonna get her out of there.
No, yeah, 100%. I thought the same thing as well. I think the only thing there was like, man, they have fucking bad security on Alderaan.
100%. These
like
three
the
guys,
princess, the princess.
That's why their planet got blown up. They're just really ill prepared.
Who's also like they keep being like high commodity, like related to Padme, related to Anakin. If this ever got out, really bad for us and everything. And the whole episode's been about like they really lock you up and make sure you don't go away. And yeah, that's one thing. That chase scene, man, I hated the chase scene. That's where I was like, oh man, is it actually gonna suck? Because there's one point where they have the three guys. They have the human guy. Just sorry, not great. There could have been someone else there. Let's just say that. And then they have these two alien people who are not. They're looking like Galaxy Edge, like side people, the Disney Park quest. And there's this one point where they're running after Leia, which we haven't talked about. Fuck, there's so much about Leia. Like runs down this tree, and this guy's like, oh, like he can't like walk over the branch.
Oh, I know.
And then
a couple times actually, there's like a tree. He's like.
Yeah, the second one, the green lady, she like runs through this. She runs through this tree, and then they try and make it look like the green alien like bumps in the tree, but she just bumps into it tad. But like
very awkward.
Yeah, it was very awkward. Like I think just with some editing, that scene could have been better. But it's kind of like, you know, in a stunt double when they fall on the mat and then they get up and then, you know, obviously would cut when the fall. It felt like they didn't cut when the fall happened. Like the fall happens and then the stunt double like goes back to their shift. That was like this tree and they just kept growling. So chase scene not great, but we'll get into Leia obviously. So like, yeah, Taylor, I feel like as far as like with Thrawn, that's what I was alluding to. Other things, it's not a known fact that Anakin is Darth Vader. It's very well kept secret because everyone just thinks he died. They just think he was another Jedi, a part of the purge. I think that's right. They think he was another one purged, right? Is that it?
Yes. The general consensus is that Anakin died in the Purge. He died as a Jedi, and even when Vader is prompted with this question, like, "Oh, who is Anakin Skywalker?" he shuts it down as like Anakin's dead. And it just it fits. So when you have the Inquisitors, as far as to my knowledge, the Inquisitors don't know that is Anakin, but when you guys made some great points that the archives can be looked at, and maybe if she was diving into these archives and finding things like, hey, Obi-Wan and Bail were good friends, like then maybe she did find this kind of stuff and learned that.
Like what is that logged under, like
what is
Bail Organa good friends. Oh, Obi-Wan, okay. I'm sure it's just that they went on lots of like dealings together and they were always like, he says like, oh, I would only protect you with Leia, so maybe he was a part of a lot of like protective missions for Bail. But it's just funny, like I found out through archives they're friends. It's like she's scrolling through his Facebook photos, like, look, in 2016 she was in his profile picture.
But I if that's the way they play it out with the archives and stuff, that's totally fine. I don't mind a couple people knowing that is Anakin, but at the same time, like it's a dark secret, and I like it being kept under wraps, so that's why it is a little bit of a con for me. But I get it. We have to somehow, I guess, have Obi-Wan know that's Anakin. But in a perfect world, I would have liked it if Vader revealed that, or he just appeared and like Obi-Wan was like, oh, like traumatized from it. And you're right, Fanboy Clay. In the comics, the Inquisitors do not know about Anakin, but we never had Reva in the comics. That's one of the things.
Yeah.
And they can write that however they want.
And the other Inquisitors didn't hear it, and that's why, to me, I don't think Reva is making it out of this. In my opinion, I think that obviously he can't kill Darth Vader, but I think, whether it's Obi-Wan or whether it's Vader or the Inquisitors, I don't think Reva's gonna make it out. Or fucking Palpatine. Like I feel like she's walking way too tight a rope right now. Like I feel like she's just craving power, and there's two things you can do. You can either kill, I love it, but you can either kill people and get rid of it, like she did with the Grand Inquisitor, or they're eventually gonna sniff you out and take you out. And that's where there's other things. I guess I can bring this up now, but Fan McCoy does bring up, how do you feel with the death of the Grand Inquisitor? I don't think he's dead because, like,
I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I don't buy it either. I think that's just a fake out for us because he's in Rebels, right? And Rebels
he's in Rebels. I think the GA that doesn't know this is watching it and thinks like, oh wow, you just really killed him.
Dude,
no,
I thought
not
that.
a chance. It's
I legit
happening.
thought that. I was like, the fucking main villain of the entire show is just killed off right here. This is wild.
Now, if they did kill the Grand Inquisitor in this and Rebels happened, that is the biggest hashtag canon doesn't matter of all time. Like if so that's why I just think they'll say like because of his armor he somehow survived the wounds. Like it's a very tricky thing in Star Wars, right? Qui-Gon can get stabbed through the exact same thing, die, but then Anakin can get melted by lava, have all his limbs removed, and he's still made it, right?
Maul got cut in half. So just to jump to the conclusion that the Grand Inquisitor is dead, that's a bold assumption.
And like we already talked about, right? Like the Sith, like the hatred can keep them alive, right? That's why Anakin, Darth Maul. So that's why I think he will be saved. He might even be back later on. But with Reva, what I want to bring up again, this is not so much a defense; it's just like a possibility. She has this thing where she wants power, right? And obviously, all Siths want power. They crave it. They want to be the next in line, whatever it may be. But she has this line to, who's the guy with the dark eyes? He's the guy that wasn't the Grand Inquisitor, but
the fifth brother.
Is he the fifth brother? Is that what it is?
The dude with the hat.
Yeah, the dude with the hat. So they had this conversation in episode 1, and he's like, "Why are you doing this?" And she says, "Because I'm gonna get what's owed to me." And that's what found curious, because I thought she's just craving power, but her being owed something that opens up a possibility that there's more to the character, and that's why same thing. Maybe I'm making a joke about her and Anakin being in a relationship, but I mean, like, maybe there is more as far as they are closer for some reason. There is something, so that's why I'm waiting for the show to hopefully give me that and be like, okay, what is this thing she feels owned? Is there a reason she would be, knowing that Anakin is Vader? Or is it all just fluff and we'll look back on it and be like, okay, they could have fine-tuned that. So they have dropped a few little lines, but Kirklin, you have any theories or ideas what she feels like she could be owed?
I really think that she was just like a apprentice like at the Jedi Temple, and like because Obi-Wan was just like such a higher up at like in that situation, maybe like when the purge happened, like she just felt completely betrayed because he just completely fucked off, you know, in her eyes maybe, and then that just like grows this hatred of like he owes me this because he abandoned me here.
You took
I
it as a
think,
personal owing.
yeah, I think that's what it is. And like I don't think there's much. Again, I could be wrong here, but I really feel like her whole story is wrapped around Obi-Wan. It's not like she was friends or like with Anakin and Obi-Wan. Like I think Anakin's kind of out of it. That's what really puzzles me about the whole her just knowing about Anakin Skywalker. And maybe that's an argument on why she actually like has some ties with him. Because she had that information. But I don't know. Like my initial thoughts was just, yeah, she was. I'm assuming she's around, you know, 20 something right now. I don't think she's 30 years old because the purge happened 10 years ago. I would have imagined that's like the age of the Padawans. I don't know.
Unless she was like a young knight, she could have been, right?
True. No, yeah, true. Very true.
My connection to bridge this gap was at which I want to get more into after this comparison, but at the beginning we see the young Padawans, and one of them I'm pretty sure is
Taylor.
Reva when she's young, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, there
Because
you
they camera panned in and focused
Yeah,
on
that's a good
her
point.
out of the
That's
group.
a good point.
So
Yeah.
I think you have again a Cal Kestis kind of equivalent where that I think the second sister, where she felt abandoned by her master, and that rage embodies Inquisitor.
Is it possible that all those kids there are actually like the brothers and sisters that become Inquisitors? Or
I don't think
that a
not all
stretch?
of them. I think it kind of varies with some of them, but I think she is one that is Reva.
Okay. Because
I think there's a chance that Jedi they hunted down killed was one of them as well. And I also thought, what's his name? Kumail Nanjiani was going to be one as well. But obviously we'll get to him, and that wasn't the case. But and that's the thing we've talked about, that there could be flashbacks, like Clone Wars flashbacks. There could be a chance where you get a flashback of, if there is a tie to Anakin, of Obi-Wan, Anakin, and a young Reva. That's a high possibility. You know.
True. Fanboy Clay in the chat was asking how is she that old after 10 years? I think you could still write that she's still just like 20 something, honestly. And then like that little girl that we saw, she didn't look like she was 15 or something, right? Like she looked like she was around the 10 years old age. What do you guys think? Or do you think even younger?
She definitely looked like older. Like Leia and Luke are like around probably like 10 at this point. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they would be 10 years. So when you look at Reva at that time period, she would have been much older than 10. So because they were doing like pretty
In real life,
sophisticated
she's
training.
29.
Yeah.
So you get
Yeah,
age
so
her
I
down
would-
like a 25, 24. if
Yeah,
you
I think
wanted
that
to.
totally fits. with
Tom
this
Cruise
time
is still
period.
playing 40 years old, so you know.
Exactly. And then I was gonna just I guess pose a question with the Inquisitors, and because I'm very limited in my knowledge of them. I did, you know, some diving on the Wikipedias, but like, are all the Inquisitors at the point of canon like supposedly like force sensitive children that were just stolen in that sense, or is there, because like I think
That's what
Obi-Wan
Obi-Wan
drops the
kind of
line.
said that. Yeah.
But doesn't he drop the line that like some of them were just Jedi that were escaping and then they just are hunting themselves now?
Some of them were Jedi that escaped the purge and kind of fell afterwards, and some of them kind of turned like the Grand Inquisitor did during the purge kind of time.
Okay.
So
Oh, okay. So Grand Inquisitor, I mean, how old would he have been when he turned? Like,
I don't know his age range, no,
yeah.
but
He's
he
a
was
crusty old man,
again.
he
He
looks
was
like.
one of the quick ones to turn because Jocasta Nu kept him out of the archives, so that pissed him off.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Well, this is a Jocasta new free zone tonight, all right? There's so much good in Star Wars. It's not, you know what?
I'm owed.
Yeah, though she got the wrong records existed, because apparently she got fucking files about Beryl and Obi-Wan being people. You know, those ones shouldn't have existed. You
That's
know,
funny. No, because I was gonna just highlight the line that he had to oh my gosh, I'm gonna say her name wrong again. Reva.
Reva.
Reva. You're gonna
I'll
make me
just-
say God.
My mind goes Reba, so I'll just remember it like that, Reva. But like how he like makes a point that like she is basically scum compared to them. Like she is the lowest Inquisitor out of all of them, and like I want to know why that is. Like it's not clear. Like, oh, because she's the youngest, she's the lowest on the totem pole. Like there is some reason why she's like basically a private, you know, amongst these other higher ranked brothers and sister Inquisitor things. So I'm very excited to find out more of that reasoning and just her whole Inquisitor, her career as an Inquisitor. I find that interesting because obviously she has her own motivations, and you know me, I fucking love that when it comes to just dark side users just stabbing each other in the back. I am all for that. So as soon as she went for the Grand Inquisitor there, I was so pumped there. Oh my gosh. But I don't even know how I got going on that. I guess just the Inquisitor talk. I feel like we went on this tangent and you asked me what I thought about Obi-Wan and we just went so far and I don't think I even answered that, but that's okay. I think he's great.
We'll get back to him. Yeah. No. Yeah. I don't think I had anything more to add on those ones. I think that with Reva, I like the actress so far. I'm kind of 50-50. There's some scenes where I think she's really bringing it, and then some scenes she seems like a little on the cheese side and everything. So I'm waiting to see a bit more. In that last scene to get Obi-Wan, man, she was jumping for fucking miles. She's like Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 1. But so yeah, so far I like the character. I like the character performance. I think is fine, but I don't think. I was gonna say I don't think she'll be a main focus of the show. She'll be a focus, but not to the huge extent that I think like a Obi and Leia could be, which I'm fine with. And we'll see. I'm interested to see her interact more because, again, I think that the Grand Inquisitor will survive. So if he survives, he's probably gonna be like, "Hey, how'd you get that?" that scar, and he's like it's gonna like there's gonna be some interesting things with her potentially. So I'm waiting to see what her performance is gonna be like as we go on. Like I said, didn't blow me away from that point of view, but character could be a fun wild card. But yeah, Kirklin, get us back on track to good old Ben Kenobi.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys touched upon like his PTS dreams and those sort of things. Like I was so pumped on that because as you guys were talking, like he just always had that like calm, cool, collected like persona, and like it's so interesting for me to actually like dive into the cracks of between episode 3 and episode 4, and like this is 10 years after the event and he's still having these like PTSD dreams, and like it totally makes sense honestly because and like I never really thought of it this way, but like he killed like his brother Anakin, or in his mind he did, and like he's completely on his own just living like a hermit for like over 10 years, and like he's trying to get some enjoyment in his life delivering playing Santa for Luke, but like he's just
Owen's
so
having none of
alone.
that shit. Hey, get that fucking toy out of here,
That's
man.
so disheartening.
And like Owen's not wrong though. He's like fuck off. Like, and from his
No,
point of
for
view,
sure.
it's just, like that's what I like about that. But yeah, continue on.
But no, I loved what we saw, and like I love too how like they put a point of emphasis early on when the Inquisitors come to that bar and like saying like the Jedi just can't fight their like own hardwiring, right?
It's
like
an
they are
itch.
Jedi. Yeah, it's an itch. Like they have to like basically help people, and I love that you see those moments when Obi, like whether it's at the whale harvesting thing when like that dude is just like half. he promised me 3,000. They had said 3,000.
Yeah.
And then like you just see Obi-Wan like for a moment like, do I do something here? But then no, he has to kind of hold back, and there's a couple moments throughout the show that he has those, and I love it. It's just a very small like attention to detail. Again, it's Ewan just like being able to act in that sense where I am seeing that he's not saying anything, but like I'm able to just see what like that intent that he has of just trying to suppress his Jedi feelings, and I think they're doing such a good job with that with his character for sure. And yeah, no, I love Ewan. So like even if he didn't say like anything in the first episode, I think I would have just been so pumped to just see him on screen. But he's so good, man. Like his lines are so good, the delivery of it. And yeah, like I just see him as Obi-Wan again. Like it doesn't feel like, oh, this is Ewan coming back as an old man trying to play Obi-Wan. Like he is Obi-Wan and he's doing such a good job with it.
Yeah. No, I said a lot in the spoiler or the non-spoilers, but yeah, the PTSD, so that's everything I want. Him going to work and being all quiet, him being disheveled, him just like his only good thing he has is like feeding this animal. I love how sad it is that he is like looking after Luke, and he's like, and we'll get into the Leia part of it too, but he's having these flashbacks of, I love that they did the dream of him pod racing, and then you get the next scene of, Luke pod racing and stuff, and that's all great. I do, and Clay brought it up here that you guys talked about this in predictions. Qui-Gon is a given in this series. When he woke up, I thought it was a nice touch of him calling for Master Qui-Gon, and then in episode 2, he's like, "Oh, I could really use your help right now." So I feel like to get him
coming. It's
oh
coming.
yeah. I feel like they almost get him back to that Zen point though of getting back to that Ben Kenobi we meet in New Hope or Rebels. Qui-Gon will help with
That'd be
that,
good.
and I feel like that could be an episode 5 or 6 thing even. But
Yeah.
I think now, before the general audience might not thought about that, but once you introduce that name and even the recap, it ends with, "Oh, you have one last mission. Go talk to
Yeah.
him." It was like, okay, we're fucking getting Qui-Gon at some point. I do think, yeah, we will just hear him, but who knows? They could change that if they want to. They get Liam Neeson there. Especially, I think they're already teasing that moment when he goes back in his cave and there's just a cloak there and a guy standing in the open and it turns around, it's Bail Organa. But that's why I also think, because correct me if I'm wrong, Tib. I think in canon, wasn't it only known that Qui-Gon could just speak? He couldn't actually show
He
himself or
didn't
something
finish
like that?
his training. He doesn't have that physical manifestation. Unless in the Clone Wars, there are certain choke points with the Force where he can
Yes.
actually visibly manifest himself.
And to me, them doing that like kind of fake out with Bale was them almost alluding that you might see a Liam Neeson there.
I think we're gonna see him. Honestly,
I do
I would put my
too,
chips
yeah.
on there. I think we're
Yeah.
gonna see him on screen.
Yeah, like
Um,
if you're asking me the 100%, like 100% we're at least hearing him, but seeing him I think is very
Yeah.
likely because like at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter because people, I don't love the movie either, but Rise of Skywalker with Han Solo, he's not a fucking Jedi, he doesn't have the Force, but what is it? Oh, it's your memory, Kylo Ren. All
Yeah.
it takes is for something for Obi-Wan to be feeling something. That's how he can, maybe Qui-Gon
It's-
can appear to other people, but Obi-Wan can help propel. Like it's fucking make believe stuff. So if they want
Yeah.
Liam Neeson to appear, he'll fucking appear,
I'll defend both of those appearances, honestly, like the Han Solo one, because yeah, I do agree. I think it is just like Ben, yeah, that Ben, Kylo,
yeah.
like seeing Han, and then here, like I would again, I don't care if Qui-Gon didn't finish his training until he could appear. Like I truly believe that if he's on screen, I'm gonna believe it. It's not gonna be like, oh, this is going against canon that was written and blah 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 here and there. Like I am definitely not gonna be doing that because I am just gonna be so overjoyed of seeing Qui-Gon.
Neither will the general audience. They won't
No,
care.
yeah,
There's some line
exactly.
in a book that he didn't finish his training and he's only a voice. Like they want to
Yeah,
go for the pop, and obviously it feels like with that recap too. That's the best thing. That would be a full circle moment because you have to have that because. You have to have the full circle moment because not only has he having the PTSD about his friend and his brother and all that stuff, it's also that you were the guy that was supposed to train the chosen one, and look what happened to him. Like you got to think about that's a lot of pressure. You think about coaches that lost a Super
for
Bowl
10 years.
This
for
is
10 years, you're just having dreams about that. Yeah.
Obi-Wan lost the biggest Super Bowl you could ever play, and it's just like over and over, and this Super Bowl led to like people dying and all. Like it is like it's sad at this point when he has to be like, yeah, the Jedi are non-existent, they're
Yeah.
not a thing anymore. And it's like you think about how powerful and how many there were in the prequel era to now there's a few running around, but he has to like hide. He has to again. I wonder how many fucking lightsabers are in Tatooine because he hid his there. He hid obviously Rey hid Leia's and Luke's there and stuff.
If
Which
General
that same
Grievous got his hand on Tatooine,
Yeah,
he would have been just.
I know it's funny that same lightsaber because it's Anakin's keeps getting buried and unburied and air buried in Tatooine. But even that symbolism I love of he opens the box and it's not just his lightsaber, it's Anakin's lightsaber as well. And also we know it's going to get to Luke, but still, that's what I love that there's all this pressure, is like the friend pressure, the brother pressure, but also the pressure of you being a Jedi and he had his problems with Qui-Gon, but Qui-Gon didn't fail because you turned out all right. You weren't a Sith. It's like for you to train the guy that became one of the worst Siths all time. Also, he doesn't know that now. I think it's going to be even worse because that moment, again, maybe we'll see. Was it a little sloppy how he got there? Could be. We'll get a few episodes. But when Reva's telling him, the reason I guess I didn't care so much is because Ewan's acting in that moment is great, and because that also has to be a hard moment. Okay, you're finding out that your friend that you thought you killed is still alive and he's a evil Lord Sith. Go. And like obviously he's known this for years because of Star Wars, right? So it's just like to act this out and to feel natural. And again, it feels like it's a whole nother level of PTSD like showering over him. Like I think next episode 3 there might be some action, but I feel like he's gonna be a mess. Like he doesn't look like he's in shape, even though he was just like using the Force again. He was getting a little bit confidence. He was fucking guys up, even though he would like hurt his hands when he'd punch people and stuff. Like this is going to shake him even more, and that's some of the good stuff right there. So
one of the things I liked about this whole kind of development was, you're right, when we first see him, like he's not as much of a wreck as he is now, but when we first encounter Obi-Wan, he's very much just cut off and isolated. And it's kind of like for us, we've been cut off and isolated from Obi-Wan, so now we're getting this kind of rekindling where he's just this only hermit, but as the story progresses, he starts doing the mannerisms and stuff.
100%,
of Obi-Wan,
yeah.
just like we see in those prequel
Touching the
movies.
beard.
And I like it, touching his facial hair and everything like that. And it's just kind of putting us back in that mindset. Even with his fighting, he's a little rusty, and then he starts getting back into it. Then he's getting back into the Force. So all these things, like he's coming to. And one of the big things I liked as well was when he lands in Daya and he just goes up to this guy and asks like, "Oh, I'm looking for this signal for the ship or whatever." And like he's just so out of tune with how things work out here. Like it's such a different environment, and I like that. It's just this relearning how to walk, I guess you could say, with Obi-Wan Kenobi. So
Oh yeah. Let's take our second ad break and keep diving in the show. So we'll be right back. And we're back. And yeah, to your point, it kind of feels like when you've played a sequel to the video game, it's like you know how the character plays, but they give you like that 5-minute tutorial of like this is how you pick up your weapon and blah blah. And Kirkland, I know you're gonna say something, but I was gonna ask you. We did not see him light his lightsaber. I was waiting for it, but we did not. That's gonna be a big moment. When do you think that's gonna happen?
I don't think till like definitely not. I don't think it'll be till kind of closer to the end of the season. Honestly, I think it'll be a big moment when he finally relights that thing. Is it possible he just never lights it?
it won't be until Vader because they're having a duel,
say,
right?
They're having a duel, and I think
Duel of Fates.
it's tough because to me the story feels like it should not be till Vader, but at the same time you want him to be like a little less rusty if he's gonna fight Vader and survive, right?
Just doing like triple backflips when he meets Vader.
So I could see him still lighting it up against Reva maybe and beating her,
Yeah.
and then I think Vader and him's gonna come to a draw. I don't think anyone's gonna beat each other. Something's gonna get in the way. I would laugh if Obi-Wan just fucked him up again and like like his suit's
In
damaged.
front of all the Inquisitors. Too.
Yeah, is this
Cuts
your
his
king?
arm off again. Yeah, his legs. I hate you. I was gonna. I was gonna touch upon basically like again just the PTSD stuff and like the Obi-Wan feeling the effects of like you said it, Travis. Like he lost the biggest Super Bowl in the world, and that's something that's huge for that character and just the overall like Star Wars story in general, and like. Obviously, like I've seen the prequels and then watch episode 4. I never really felt that he had that weight with like the Alec Guinness Obi-Wan, which makes sense, obviously, because it's not the same actor that went through all those stories. And like the first movie, A New Hope, obviously wouldn't be feeling like, oh, this guy has so much like just weight on him. Like he ruined the whole. Like obviously, wouldn't be feeling that watching episode 4.
And he's also not playing it that way because Lucas didn't do the whole Vader was going to be Anakin.
No, exactly.
Yet. So he's
and
just
like,
playing it as Anakin was his friend that died in a war.
And again, like that's why obviously I didn't have that feeling. But now that I have this show and I'm actually seeing like Ewan go through those moments, and like that's what I was bringing up in the non-spoilers. Like this is lifting the prequels for me because I feel like the character of Obi-Wan that Ewan played, like he isn't just this cool Jedi that's just like a really good guy. Like he actually, I guess made a choice, right or wrong, but like now he's living with that choice. And maybe I didn't have that feeling until this show. And then again, like what's to come later on in the series, like when he has that final fight with Vader in episode 4, like I feel like I'm just going to be like tearing up now more because I'm going to be thinking about these moments of like what had happened, even though it's a different actor. I think it'll really lift up again, like just the sequel stuff. So fucking awesome stuff.
Let's talk about the reason why Obi-Wan got out there because it's funny. I popped her name in the predictions, and these two gentlemen just shat on me about possibly seeing a young Leia. Like no, that's not happening. But lo and behold, which also. We've seen it a little bit. This is like the most up close we've ever been on Alderaan, right? Because I feel like we've not really, and I like that it's always been described as this very beautiful planet. I think they did a very good job of that.
It's gorgeous.
Like it felt distinctive. It felt like a big city, but then had those like great forests and everything like that. I thought like the trick out of like Leia having that girl there as a decoy is kind of weird. It's like, why would the handmaidens just let this go? Like it was a weird setup. It's like, okay, they're setting up Leia as like a smart girl and everything. I like the girl actress enough. I think she's like a little, like you can tell she's a very young like actress and everything like that. I think she's fine. But I think what they've done is more the writing, and what she can pull off is she does the thing of being educated, but she also has just like those Leia digs all the time that are just like very sophisticated digs. So I think this is great because it does the way Bale said it, and I know someone's gonna tomorrow you're gonna wake up with a fucking Bail Organa red-eyed thing of Bail Organa and Kenobi's wake or too woke for being like she's just as important if not more, but still technically she kind of is, because if she could become powerful, even not within the Senate, she could do a lot more than what Luke could potentially do. Obviously, you don't know he's going to be a Jedi. We're going to talk about Owen after of like I love that line when Owen's like, "Are you just asking because you're wondering if he's showing anything yet?" Like that's
That
where
was
it's
good.
yeah, that was good. But I love that they're using Leia in this fashion. Also, they talked about like we don't want to recast any people, but this is the time to do it because I always said the problem with recasting Harrison Ford around that Agent Solo. Sorry about making a little too happen, Taylor, but it was like we kind of knew what Harrison Ford acted like, sound like, looked like. Where all there, right? It's like this doesn't track. This girl being young Leia, she being a 10-year-old, sure, does she look identical to probably Carrie Fisher at that age? No, but it's like you can make that jump because she's playing a little girl that's going to be a woman later on.
Yeah.
I love that we're getting this content with Leia. I think it's a really smart idea. Like I said, I like that. Okay, that's how we're going to get on off the planet. It's not because I love the idea now of, okay, while he's on the venture, he finds out about Darth Vader, and that could be a thing. I didn't never like that I'm going to go leave Tatooine to confront Darth Vader because it felt off to me. It just didn't feel like that was the right thing to do in the moment. Like he would risk leaving, where this feels like this is worth leaving. And I love that it wasn't just, okay, we got a little bit of Leia and she's the MacGuffin. I like, and maybe some people won't like that. It feels like Boba Fett, right? Where it's like you had Mando stuff and everything. But I think this is used to a smart degree because she's a part of the main crux of the story of seeing lots of Alderaan, seeing Bail Organa, seeing his wife. I don't remember her name again. I'm sorry, but
Mrs.
Jimmy Smith,
Organa.
Mrs. Organa, yeah. But again, Jimmy Smits is like he's much like Joel Egerton, where they have this real high quality actor in this very small role. So I like anytime they're like, I would be so down if like we're gonna do a 6-episode Alderaan show and it's like Jimmy Smith just leading politics with like little young Leia and like train like because Jimmy Smith is just that fucking good. Any line he says, you just believe it. That conversation about how you're doesn't matter where your bloodline is, like you are a Organa through and through. Like one day you'll be running your cousin. Like that whole speech, he goes from being emotional to jokey to being father. Like he's so good. So everything in Alderaan, other than the gang members, I really, really liked. I liked enough. It's a new wrinkle. I feel like in the original trilogy, it's not really put out there that Leia knows she was adopted or everyone knows Leia was adopted. But now they're trying to put that out here, which is that. Okay, like I guess that works well enough here. But I liked everything here. And my biggest pro as well too is, man, those scenes in episode 2 with Obi-Wan and her. Now yeah, there's some classic like kid hijinks, but the scenes where because Ewan acts it so well, like, oh man, you remind me of someone, and he doesn't drop Padme by name, but it is this great crux of we got to see Obi-Wan with Luke in A New Hope. You got to see him with his father's son. Now you're getting to see him with the father's daughter, Anakin, this guy he's training. At this point, too, what I love about it, he doesn't know Anakin as Vader. So he's just remembering not the good times about Anakin, but like, the before times, I'll say. And that's what I love is like, it's Obi-Wan with the kid of his failed apprentice that like, he had to chop down and kill. Like, there's so much like subtext going on, and there's so much little things. And I just thought it was, again, maybe on paper you would have told me, I'd be like, I don't know, Obi-Wan running around with young Leia trying to save her. That might sound kind of cheesy, but whether it was acting, directing, the writing of it, all top notch for me. This whole Leia Obi-Wan dynamic, and I don't know if it needs to go in the whole series, but I'm fine with it doing one more episode next week at least. So.
For sure. Yeah, this was what I was kind of alluding at in my spoiler-free section where I'm not going to lie, I was a little worried of just like, Obi-Wan, we need you. We need you to come just save this person. And like that's where I'm like, oh my god, is this show going to be just him going planet to planet like he's a Mandalorian just like saving lives? And I'm like, how realistic is that? Like, taking Ben supposed to be this just like recluse hermit character, and then it's just never mentioned. Oh yeah, 10 years ago I went out and saved Leia and just I saved the galaxy.
Man.
Yeah,
I killed all those Grand Inquisitors.
The Death Star. Yeah.
yeah.
I kicked Anakin's ass again.
Darth Revan came back. I killed him.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my god, like I was worried that it was going to be just him going on space adventures, but it was really redeemed in that second episode because yeah, I believed like when Bale went into his cave and like you are the only one, and like really was like cementing that he was the one that has to do this. Like yeah, Leia is equally as important as Luke is. So like I believe the motivation that was explained in episode 2, and also like you touched upon the child again. I don't know the actress's name. I think she's so like good. Honestly, I am just blown away about like child actors like nowadays in
Oh yeah,
comparison to
we're
like
very
where they
lucky.
were. We are very lucky, and like she's adorable. Like her one-liners are just like she had Shay and I laughing out loud with some of like the line deliveries. Like the timing was really good, and like I think she's a solid like a little Leia to follow around. Like it's not like, oh my gosh, this kid actor is just so annoying. Like I just want to have Obi-Wan talking, not her. Like it was a fun dynamic. Maybe some things of her just being like, who even are you? And then just like completely fucking off. That was a little eye rolly for me. Again, it like led into
Yeah.
a pursuit, and then like she's running away from him, and then he's like, Leia, don't jump off the building. And he's like, I gotta get it from this guy. 2 seconds later, Ben, help me! Again, it's a little kid. Maybe you can just like lean in that sense, but overall, I think she was really, really a huge surprise for me. Like as soon as I saw Alderaan, it was just like, oh my gosh, like this is actually happening right now. We're gonna be seeing just more of Alderaan, and again, this is another thing that lifts like 4, 5, 6, or I guess episode 4 for me personally is like, okay, episode 4 when Alderaan explodes. Do I care? Like, I don't even really know what's there. I know Leia's from there. Okay,
Yeah,
I know
that's the only
it's a
reason you
planet with a
care,
lot
yeah.
of people. But now that I'm actually like seeing what life is kind of like on the streets of Alderaan, it's just like, okay, I'm gonna miss those mountains now when I watch episode. Like, it just made it more meaningful. I think like when the Death Star blows up Alderaan later on, because we actually see the planet, other than like very, very briefly at the end of episode 3. So that's another thing that again just boosts the whole series for me personally. So I was so pumped to see Alderaan, and again, Jimmy Smits, I love his character, and it's so great to have him back. Travis, you mentioned all the praise for him, and I completely agree. And yeah, like I like the pairing of Leia and Obi-Wan right now. I don't think it's gonna last the whole series, but at least for like the rescue mission, it was good, and I like her, Lola, that little like companion droid thing that she has. Again, I just love seeing new droid designs in Star Wars. It's so fun. Droids are such like a key part of Star Wars, I'd say, and it's always great to have new designs of them. So all in all, I'm very positive on the usage of Leia, and I'm completely agree with you on like the goon squad that came to collect her. I like Shay and I, like we literally just looked at each other at one point because like there's one of the aliens that gets like right behind her as if like,
Yeah.
okay, he can just grab her, and he's like, she just
He's like a
runs
goosebumps
away.
monster, and it's like, what are we
Literally,
doing
yeah.
here? Like,
And then you mentioned like when she climbs over the log, and that one green alien chick just like, oh,
oh,
just like
I can't. It's like, go around it, bitch. It wasn't even a
Yeah.
big log. and everything.
no go.
yeah, yeah.
no,
it's no
mission's
good.
over.
It's no good.
It's
no
just grab
good.
her. No,
And
it's
they
no
even
good.
did that. There was some bad editing with Obi-Wan. Like the very first time he got really closer, he's like, Leia, and he just like bent down and like just let her keep running. It's like, dude, you're fucking lice online. You fucking grab this girl. Like, I know she might make a scene, but it's like she might run into an assassin. So I feel like each time with the chase scenes, just
Yeah.
some editing would have worked out and stuff like that. But you do gotta laugh, and that's where we talked about last week with Lucasfilm being a mess. It's like, I get what they're saying, but they're whole like, yeah, and we're very happy to finally be away from the Skywalker saga. And then I'm happy because I like what's going on. I'm not someone that needs that. I want the both, where I feel like you can tell stories around or with the Skywalker saga or era, and then new stuff. I don't like. I feel like they always feel like it has to be either or. It's like, well, we can't do Knights of Old Republic till we've completely finished off the Skywalker era. It's like, no, just do them both, because I don't care what they say. They're fucking doing it both because you just introduced a young Leia in the show. You know, before that you could say, okay, it is just about Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. You can cheat and say it's not Anakin Skywalker, fine. But once you introduce young Leia in this, it's like, it's a Skywalker story again. I don't have a problem with that if it's done well. But that's why it's just like, I never know what their fucking plan is, because they talk about how they're so happy to be done with the Skywalkers, and here we are, we're in a new era. That whole Vanity Fair thing was about that. Like, that's, and the cover photo is Obi-Wan as a Skywalker in the show, and then you got fucking Ahsoka, who was just in a show interacting with a Skywalker, who was played by like fake Mark Hamill. So it's like, what are we doing here, guys? Like, I don't really know. But Taylor, Phil, what do you feel about young Leia?
I absolutely loved her in this. I really did. I thought her quips were great. I was just seeing on screen, was like, hey, this just feels like Leia. The things that she's saying, I feel like we're back in A New Hope, and just how she was acting. I thought it was fantastic. So huge props to that actress. She's just great. But I just found it to be, like I said, non-spoilers, the narrative of getting Obi-Wan off of Tatooine. I thought it was fantastic. It was just something that I was surprised with and not expecting. And the dynamic between her and Obi-Wan, I liked it. I enjoyed their little adventure, and I liked how she was quipping at him, trying to get him to like use the Force, make me float or something like that. And you're just dealing with someone who is 10 years old. She has no idea about the Purge. She has no concept about why the Jedi are really in hiding. She doesn't know all these things. She's been living on Alderaan.
She's 10
the whole time. She's 10 years old. Yeah, so there's a lot that's kept under the rug from her, rightfully so. So I don't really, I can overlook it as to why she freaked out and she called out Obi-Wan as being like, are you probably the one who kidnapped me and all that kind of stuff. She's legit, she's confused. She's not fully aware of the situation, the circumstance going on. So that gets an easy pass from me. But it was just such a great adventure between the two of them. I really, really did enjoy it.
Man,
I'll give it a pass. I won't give it an easy pass because like when she just fucks off from him, it's like, okay, where the fuck are you gonna go? Like, you're gonna go back to the goon squad that kidnapped you? But then again, it's like she's 10, okay, like she doesn't really understand the full, like severity of her situation that she's in. So I'll give her a pass, but I'm like Taylor, it's not an easy pass for me. It's like 55%. See me after class. We'll boost this up a little bit.
And even then, like, it's, I guess, right? But like when he uses the Force to save her, like, he could just be a fucking Sith lady, like, just because he's
choking her. Yeah,
just because that's
But
the only way
again,
he can hold
she
her
doesn't
up.
know what Sith are too, right?
Yeah,
So-
no, I know. But it's just funny, like, he uses the power and she's like, oh, he must be good and stuff like that, which I liked because I guarantee that's probably, maybe not the last, maybe Phantom Menace isn't the last time he used, or not Phantom Menace, sorry, Revenge of the Sith is the last time he used the Force, but I felt like it's been a while because it looked like it pained him to use the Force pretty much. And
yeah. Well, oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I don't know if he's actively cut off, like we talked about Cal Kestis and Jedi Fallen Order, where he's trying to, or he just has not used it in so long, just kind of accidentally cut himself off. But I do like that. I like that Obi-Wan's still like, one of your S tier Jedi. But again, what we talked about, he's a little rusty, and I don't, using the Force just to catch somebody usually wouldn't have pained him, I don't think, in the past. And this looked like it took a lot of energy at him, which I appreciate.
He probably was like all ready to use the Force and stuff after he didn't finish off Anakin. Then he's probably using it in his house, in his cave, doing stuff, going in
so?
Mos
I don't think he's
Eisley,
doing-
moving around. Then he found out Yoda failed. He was like, oh, I gotta fuck off. I can't use the Force anymore. So
Yeah, I don't think he's used the Force like at all. And
I'm trolling.
I was
I'm trolling.
I was waiting for the. Thanks for
He was
clarifying.
dead serious, ladies and gentlemen. He's like, he
fucking
messaged
idiot.
us. He's like, I got a great point.
No, because I was waiting for that Force moment. Obviously, he's a Jedi. There's going to be Force in the show at some point. We saw the Grand Inquisitor use it like right away at the start of the show. So I figured it was going to be like a really big moment when he finally does it, which it was. But he again, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think he used it before that, right? To blow up like the Bunsen burner. Because I took it like he used the Force to like just blow up.
That's
that
what
thing,
I
but,
took it as too.
But he also, I guess, could have just like turned up the heat. And
Oh
just
yeah,
blew
I
it
just
that
took
way.
it. He turned up the heat. I don't
Okay.
think he blew it out with the Force. No, I think
Because
he
I didn't
just,
see him turn anything. It's just like all of a sudden the water started boiling and blew up. I'm like, he's still using the Force here. But then
Because-
later on when you see him catch Leia, it's like very strenuous on him.
Mm-hmm. Well, because the only reason I feel like they did that shot is because if he would have used the Force, I feel like he would have just walked by, saw it, and then did it. Instead, they made him walk like right up to it, like he was like breathing on it. So I feel like, okay, he could do that, touch it, and then turn around. They just, I think, edited out to put in some tension in the scene where they probably could have done it with some of the chase scenes. But
Right.
I don't think he used the Force there. I think that
Okay.
that scene to me of him catching Leia is to signify that he hasn't used it in a while, and it is a tough thing. Now, I guess you could argue that catching Leia might be harder than just blowing a Bunsen burner, but I think
Yeah.
they just, with him being so close to it, was the reason why, okay, he's just turning it up to max, and here we go. So
Yeah, I like your reasoning more for my own headcanon, so I'll go with that.
good. Well,
Um,
I hope you like this next ad break because I'm taking it before you keep going. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So hopefully you got a good ad and not anything too sad. But Kirkpatrick, continue. I got a full ad when I was in Vancouver for Res in the podcast. I got a full ad in Chinese. No idea what the fuck they were promoting. No idea what it was about. Could be like GeekVerse sucks, but
Yeah,
it was
Don't listen
there.
to this podcast.
Yeah.
we lost all of our Chinese viewers.
Yeah, Patreon ad for they hate China. They will say anything bad. It's like we did not approve this ad, but
What the hell?
We're
is
talking
it?
about Obi-Wan
yeah, no.
Force Bunsen
So
burners.
in that moment when he catches Leia, I have like a major con. Maybe not a major. I have a con here
Major.
because
1 out of 10
he's getting
show.
shot at from 2 different bounty hunters, and we don't ever see anything that happened to them, like at all. They
No, we
just
see
stop
one.
shooting. Okay.
Oh,
we
in
see
that
one.
moment, we see in the
Yeah, in the
because later on
moment,
he does go back
They're,
and shoot like
they're
that.
shooting like crazy. Leia jumps. The world just freezes apparently because he can
Mm-hmm.
just focus for like 5 minutes to try and save her. And again, a lot of people have bad aim, so maybe I'll credit there. I didn't hear any blaster shots, but whatever. Maybe I'll push it there. Saves her. No, let me finish. Saves her. Nice. Less than 1 second later, he's just fucking on the street. There you are, Leia. Oh, it's all good. It's like
Force jump down.
no, he came around the corner. He was looking for the fire
Yeah.
escape for sure. And it's like, hey, like we're not even gonna comment on the fact that he was just being chased by these bounty hunters here, and they just like, he saved the girl. Maybe we'll just let him go here because he just like appeared, and it wasn't even like they didn't even show the other bounty hunter other than
In
the
his
one that gets
defense,
popped.
the one that got bopped was the more mobile of the two. The other one was that like really stuck up like.
That's fair. He
to,
was
like,
camping
Android
for a
one.
while.
Yeah,
he
he
wasn't
was
moving off
camping.
that roof.
He's
He's
not
like a
moving very
fucking
well.
jetpack. He just comes over Obi-Wan and just drops like a grenade on them. Leia, get down!
Fair enough. Fair enough, Taylor. You're pushing back a little, like good with some good evidence there, but still, it was just so weird for me. Like that was another moment when Shane and I just looked at each other. It's like, what?
Yeah,
Like,
it was.
I felt like I had missed a cinematic. I felt like there was something that I just skipped, and it was just okay. Here we are. It was weird.
It was a little choppy too because I think they were trying to show that those two bounty hunters were trying to like fight or shoot at each other now, and and I think the other thing I didn't buy was again, like, I guess it was far away, but how long did it take Reva to get the fuck over there? She was moving pretty fast.
Yeah, but she did some weird moves. She did like a backwards
She was showing
roll
off for no
and
one.
landed like a
Oh, yeah.
backwards roll, landed into a front somersault.
She was trying to get a
like, it was
freestyle point.
Fucked.
Yeah,
It was a
there-
little extra.
There was sometimes where it's like you could have just walked that that you did not have to backflip, front flip into.
She would have
this.
walked in the branch like those bounty hunters did chasing Leia earlier.
Oh yeah, you 100%. That's why you got to flip it. Yeah, so I felt the same thing. Like there's shots going on, Reva's in the background. This feels a little convenient. He can just kind of take a break and catch her and stuff. But you know, I'll take that con. If it's a con, it's at least a minor one. So
Yeah, no, true, 100%. But like, I guess like my main con amongst the 2 episodes was that like sequence. So I'll give it a pass. The background looked gorgeous. Dayu, I think is the planet.
Daya?
Daya. It looked gorgeous. I love the neon lights, and again, that's where I was really seeing the diverse aliens and everything with like the very unique costumes. There's one bounty hunter. He looked like a human, but he had this like. It was like a poncho thing, but it was like fabric. It looked really cool. Again, just I love seeing new and old Star Wars outfit designs. Again, brings me into the universe, but also just like credit like the costume designers and like all of that. Like it looks really, really good. And I don't think any one person like felt the same. Like I feel like maybe there's some moments in Boba or Mandalorian where like they just felt like they have extras in the background. Yeah, there's extras here, but they still felt like Star Wars extras. And if that makes any sense. Tatooine, I guess, had those dusty people, so maybe it's just like going with the planet. They're a lot more vibrant and just like unique, and I love that. And maybe that's what makes the makes that planet so interesting, is that it is just like a melting pot of like bounty hunters, like con
Fucking
artists, like I
women,
never know how to
little
say his
girls
name.
turning to drug dealers now. You know, I was a little girl too once.
So
It's like,
sad.
fuck,
Oh my
yikes.
gosh, yeah.
Yeah, and she's
Suck your
just
dick for 10 bucks.
yeah, and then she's just like, "You want more of these? Let me know." It's like, fuck, like I don't want to get out of here. Like, please find Leia as quickly as possible.
Give up on your daughter. Like, she's
Yeah,
gonna
he-
end up like me.
He's like, "You have 2 of these, you'll forget everything about your daughter." It's like, oh shit, all this stuff's going on. I did like too when he saw, am I saying it right or wrong? A Dathmirian or what's Darth Maul's race there?
Oh,
Zabrak.
Zabrak.
Dathomir is the planet, right?
Yeah.
Dathomir's a planet.
Yeah,
Night
so
Sis-
Zabrak-
the Night Sisters, is that what they're called? Or
Yeah.
the Night, yeah.
I feel like he must have been having like double PTSD all this thing because he turned that corner. And
Whoa!
That's his first time his lightsaber ignites and he just fucking cuts him down. Like, he's just-
That's like, I gotta say though, that's like the whitest Zabrak I've ever seen in my
100%.
life. Like his color and also
100%.
just the way he talked. He's like, "Can I help you with something? Should you be
yeah,
working?"
he's the Karen of Zabraks. Yeah. Like I like definitely that some Zabrak was just fucking some random white chick at some point, and that's how this guy was born, And hopefully she made it through childbirth because of some horns. But Yeah,
The horns come later, I think. Later in their their
good. Thank God
puberty,
for the
hopefully.
white woman. It was probably the drug dealer we met earlier. I used to be a little girl, but like, yeah, I do wish we had a death sticks. I do. I with Fracture Wolf. I wish there was somebody selling them, but I thought it was a fun way to get rid of the bad guys. As far as he throws the thing down, they kind of get all high. Like it's great because he throws the thing down right away. He puts his mask on, so it's like okay, that's why it works. It's like, yeah, was it maybe like a little easy? Why didn't they search him? But it's also like these goons fucking sucked. And I'm very happy the Grand Inquisitor like chopped that one dude's head off.
That's a brutal way to go, just being pushed into a spinning lightsaber. Oh.
Yeah, just imagine your home blender, and that's the way it's gonna happen. I thought we were gonna see it, but they cut away, so it was all right. But
It would have been pretty gruesome, I think.
yeah, but we've seen we saw John Walker fuck a dude up with his Captain America shield
On Disney Plus,
Yeah, on Disney Plus, so it could happen. But
I wanted to show one more quick thing before we get a little too far here. Fracture Wolf said Jurassic World. That one raptor bounty hunter, like, oh, watch out for him. He got bopped, but yeah, man, he was dangerous.
Yeah, so let's see. Factual Wolf says, was that a call out to Rey when he told Jedi to walk out Barry's lightsaber in the desert? Kinda. Technically, they're gonna be like, well, this happened first. The same way that people are like, oh, well, Luke had a yellow lightsaber first. But yeah, kind of. I think just in general, just like ditch this lightsaber, get out of there. And that's what I got to. Actually, Kirk, where are you gonna go? Because I got something that might take us somewhere else. But
I had one last thing on the planet.
The drug girl?
Daya. Is that the planet?
Daya.
Yeah, Daya. When
Riva was on Daya.
When Riva puts out the hit on him basically, and all the bounty
Mm-hmm.
hunters are just seeing him, and then he's like, fuck, okay, they're all gonna see me here. In my mind, I'm like, it would have been so convenient if you just held onto that gas mask for like 5 extra minutes, because he would have just been like, oh, this is a perfect disguise. None of them are really looking for Leia. It's just like all about him. It's like, come on, man. And then when he's chasing Leia around,
Oh my
he
god!
just has
Put the
hood
fucking
down.
cloak on,
Yeah,
dude.
exactly. He didn't give a fuck.
Have
And
you seen Ragnarok? It works every time.
they must all just be on spice or something, because they were
100%.
not that
Oh,
observant. So I'll head canon it in that direction. But
They're
I also was a
spice, they're
little
looking for getting laid. They're not looking for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
like, Taylor, you were shouting out when that other Jedi like finds him, like, oh, you're Obi-Wan Kenobi, blah blah blah, like, I need your help. It's like, come on, man, shut the fuck up. It was so I was having those moments when Leia was just like, oh, you're a Jedi, or you're not a Jedi, use the Force on me, and just having like that audible. I feel like with how dangerous it is to just not only be a Jedi, but just be like talking about a
Associated.
Jedi. Yeah, like, I feel like that's a major no. Like, I felt like Obi-Wan should have just been like shut the fuck up.
You should have
Again.
roundhouse kicked her, just knocked her out, and then like throw her over the shoulder.
Something.
Like, oh, yeah.
Again, I'm
It's-
splitting hairs here. It's not really a con. It's just an observation I had.
No, it's dangerous by all means. Like it's kind of like going into like a really I don't know, like I don't want to be blunt about it. Going into a club you shouldn't go into that probably supports like pro neo kind of things like that, and you just drop like a. I don't like okay, here's a
Progressive
great
idea.
example. In progressive idea. In Peacemaker, you have that scene when Vigilante goes into the jail and he starts talking about all like
Hey, you
these-
fucking
these
white
great-
racists.
yeah. And he's just talking about all the great things that black people have done and contributed to society. That's, again, I'm not saying Leia was doing that, but Leia was just like, Jedi
was
this,
invoking
Jedi that.
that, yeah.
Use the
Yeah.
Force, use your lightsaber. It's like, no, stop talking about this.
And like, maybe I can put that as a con, because I felt like the consequence on Daya was a little bit lesser because of that. Because like, nobody fucking heard them, and that's what I thought was gonna happen of it. It's just like, they're just openly talking about Jedi with his cloak down. Meanwhile, half of this entire planet is supposedly looking for them. It's like, come on.
I guess, but at the same time, I guess we'd have to look and see. I guess it might say Obi-Wan Kenobi Jedi, but I just feel like these people don't give a fuck.
That's fair.
Like,
No, yeah, it's very
if they hear
true.
someone talking
They're all
about
on
Jedi,
spice.
yeah, they're all on spice. They're just looking to get their alien dick sucked or something like that. Like, they don't care what this little girl's saying to this guy until like, oh, there's a guy that we could kill for money. There
That's a
we
good
go.
point.
Like, yeah, I think they did it a few too many times of her being like Jedi. I think once or twice, but that's where I will say like the first episode I love. And that's why I think it was smart to release too. I don't know why they did, but I'm grateful they did. Where the first one's this like slow, like driven character piece of Obi-Wan, where he's been some other characters. This I'm not sure if you guys have seen it. I always tell you guys to, but talking about the director of Uncut Gems, Uncut Gems has this like breakneck speed, but it's also just like super like a movie filled with paranormal, and you just like you just feel intense the whole time. You just feel like there's such it's anxiety driven movie, and that's what this feels like, where the whole once he lands, you just feel like he's gonna be found out by someone, Leia's gonna screw up, this is gonna go wrong, and it's just always ramping up and never lets loose. It's just like, oh, finally gotta escape, and then it's like, no, Reva has them behind a fucking box, and she's like saying, oh, I know who you are, and it's just like every time you think you can get a breath, something else happens. I really love that. It reminds me, here's a good comparison, Kirkland, not to the same extent, but it's like the Rue running from the cops in Euphoria episode of just like, okay, Obi-Wan's always on the move trying to get things going. Right when it looks like, okay, there's a lull, oh no, there's something bad going on. And I really appreciate that, because the first episode's not that. Nothing really goes wrong until like a few times, which this is what I want to transition to, is I absolutely love, because again, how this happened. It's different with Jimmy Smithson, right, in the prequels, because they hired him and he was already a great actor, known great actor. I always say the most kind of thing they tripped backwards into is getting Joel Edgerton as Uncle Owen, because Joel Edgerton is easily one of the best actors around. He could be just as good as Ewan, and that's why like this one character that he has as Uncle Owen, who is a fucking nothing character in both the prequels and originals, he kind of gives him some weight and some voice and everything like that. And that scene he has with Reva, god damn, Joel Edgerton's so good, where he's just playing off like he's not trying to show his hands, but he's also like has this like don't fuck with me type of attitude, like, but he doesn't say that, it's just his face, and he still won't sell out Obi-Wan, which I love, because Obi-Wan's on the side, and I love it. Spoilers for the Batman. It's like that scene when Batman goes to see the Riddler, and for the first 5 minutes you think Riddler's talking about Batman and Bruce Wayne as the same person, and then there's that switch of, oh, he doesn't know. That's what this was, that everybody other than like, we know this, but everybody in the scene, Uncle Owen, Obi-Wan, thinks that they're talking about Obi-Wan in this moment. So tensions are as high, and you could see Uncle Owen break at any moment just to protect Luke and Beru and everything like that. But then it's so good. They go through this whole scene, and then boom, she throws down that little disc and it shows a different Jedi's face. And it's like that, oh fuck, like we were really close to it. And I loved all that. And that's one of the scenes I actually liked the actress Reva. I thought she was really good. She was taunting him up in his face. Just felt like that piece of shit Sith you just want to see like get gunned down. Because there's always two types of Sith, where there's a very classy, like Palpatine, like appealing to you, but then there's those arrogant, cocky Siths. You're just like, fuck, I just want someone to fuck you up. Kind of like Dooku was a little bit at times, and she was like that, where she's just like, better than you. Oh, you have a family? I'm gonna kill your fucking family if no one tells you where it is. And everything about that scene was great. And before that, we got that scene. We had seen clips of it, but again, him just throwing that toy, like, stay away from us. This is enough. Like, you know, I don't, and obviously that was the meme, but like, I don't want you to train him. You trained his father, and look what did happen. I want him to stay here and not fucking die. Like, all his point of views were great. So everything that happened in that little camp, or the little like area, town square, with Owen, with Obi-Wan, Reva, and everybody, just top-notch stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna mention, like, with Reva specifically, I felt like there was sides that she showed, like both of the Sith that you were just describing, where like I was kind of shocked when she was just like, I respect that in a man, like, you know, like you're looking out for yourself, blah blah blah, and it's just like, oh, okay, she's like really like kind of warming up and like trying to be a friendly person here, and then she immediately turns around like, tell me where the Jedi is, I'm gonna kill this guy and his entire family. It's like, holy fuck, okay, never mind.
From
she
0 to 100 real
she
quick.
is that more extremist side, and yeah, like I love that entire scene, because again, it was so anxiety. Like I didn't think Obi-Wan, like, this is where Obi-Wan meets his end, obviously. that's not gonna happen here in this prequel
George
type
must
series.
be pissed.
Yeah, but still, like, me knowing what happens to Obi-Wan in the Star Wars saga, like, I was still kind of on edge, like, what is actually gonna happen here? You know, like, am I just gonna see Owen get beaten the shit out of him, like in the middle of Times Square? I hope not, because you know, like, he is very like honorable in the sense of like, yeah, like his motivations to just protect Luke, and like, yeah,
who's not even biologically related to him.
No, yeah, and it's not like he says that like, oh, he's my son. Like, he's just like, I'm his uncle, and like, this is the living arrangement. Like, we're just farmers, and that's
he met Anakin once. He met him once, and what was that day where he killed a bunch of Sand people and brought back his dead mother and stepmom? It's like, the fact that he took on this kid says a lot about Owen. Like, like, he could have easily been like, No, I don't want to take this. Like, what? We don't know if they were trying to have a kid. Like, oh yeah, you
Yeah.
remember Anakin? You're like his stepbrother. Well, he illegally had a child, and we want you to watch him. Why do you want me to watch him? Well, some people, if they were finding out about him, might come and kill him as well. Oh, by the way, when he's old enough, I'm going to train him to be a Jedi. I'll see you in 10 years. So it's just like, yeah, like there should be a lot of untrust with Owen, even though he's like going against our hero in Obi-Wan. It's again, I think it also just helps that Egerton is the actor that brings like he's a character that doesn't have much going for him, but he just brings that weight to him, you know.
And with Uncle Owen, that's another person who, like, you know, when I get to like when I watch episode 4 before the series, I'm not that like broken about Owen's death, but now just seeing like Joel Egerton actually flesh out this character a little bit more, it just boosts that whole situation. So another just thumbs up.
Taylor, anything to add on Uncle Owen and Reva, the Tatooine scenes there?
He delivered so well again as Uncle Owen, just as this character.
Again. You're gonna cite his great performances in like Attack of the Clones and Revenge
of the Sith.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
okay.
definitely. I guess I'm your stepbrother. What is it?
Yeah,
you
that
come back
line. I guess
someday.
we're stepbrothers. Fuck.
But yeah, I just think that he did really bring a powerful display here when he just starts talking about like all Jedi are vermin, and you know what I do to vermin on my farm, I killed them. Like I'm just thinking like holy fuck. But yeah, he didn't flesh out Obi-Wan, and again, even though he says I didn't do it for you, I just feel like ratting someone out is just so below when it's not in his character or anything like that, and I respect that and I like that. There's just this stance that he had where he's holding firm facing against these Inquisitors, and when the lightsaber came out from with Reva, it definitely made me jump because like holy fuck, like I know he's not in any peril here really, but it definitely startled me because it was so alarming.
She fucked up that one woman's hand, which I wish we saw a little bit more, because she just like chopped that woman's hand off and then they just like cut away. Like we didn't see her fall down, like she just like disappeared in the ether. Like she may as well just strike her down and killed her. Then at that point,
Turned
like,
into like Obi-Wan in episode 4 when you just like is that
well,
cloak that
yeah,
just
there's no
drops.
screaming, no pain. She just takes like she's like and then like she's done. Like there's nothing going on. This woman just got her handcuffed. She
She's
should
that
just
old lady from the end of Rise of Skywalker or something.
like yeah, she should have just she should have just striked her down and killed her there, because the hand. I like the idea of I'm gonna chop off your hand because when you reach out for something you remember us, but it's just like, yeah, you know what's worse than the remembering, like death. So you could have just killed this old woman, but it's all right.
Reva's motivations were very much just filled with anger at this. Like right out of the gate, we just learned like you got to stop looking for Obi-Wan, stop focusing on that. I was like, okay, this is interesting. They're really diving into that, and
Yeah,
her
because that's why I wonder
obsession-
if there's a thing, though. Sorry to cut you off, but if there is more to her and Anakin, because if they stress that she's been looking for Obi-Wan for a while, and she also says that Lord Vader, like he's been looking for you at the end of that episode. Like he's been so there's a chance that for some reason they could confide in. I know some people are like, I don't know, that's fucking Lord Vader. Well, guess what? Fucking George Lucas gave Anakin a fucking apprentice named Ahsoka randomly in the animated series. So like you can add on, as long as it's done well. I don't know what it could be, but the fact that she's been looking for Obi-Wan for a while, and then later on the next episode she stresses that Lord Vader's been looking for you, there could be a connection to those 2 points of why she's invested in trying to find Obi-Wan more than just like, I want to kill Jedi, you know?
That's something that I always find very fascinating, is because Vader being who he is, he's a guy that has his own agendas. He's not a solid goon machine following the Emperor. From when you read the comics and when you experience these other aspects of Vader, he's got things in motion and he's planning, and I love that. So I wouldn't put it past him to actually have Reva on some kind of contingent.
What if this is his Star
task.
Killer in the canon? You know,
Exactly.
like what if this
that
is
could
his?
totally
Yeah.
be it. And I'd be down for that. I really, really would. There are things in the comics that I'm learning that he was doing or organizing that even the Grand Inquisitor was questioning. Like, I question your stance, your methods here. Like, Lord Vader, this doesn't make sense. Like, we should be killing these Jedi, yada, yada, yada. So I like that. And if Reva is indeed a Star Killer equivalent of sorts, I'm totally game for that.
Palpatine's just gonna fuck her up. You're like, okay, we're gonna take out the Emperor, right, Reva? Oh yeah, we are. And then he sends Reva in there alone to like,
So
yeah, like you lead, I'll follow you. he just doesn't because he's just always waiting. Oh man, let's take another ad break and then we'll talk about Kamel. We haven't talked about him, so we'll be right back. So I was excited for Kamel, but at the same point, he's getting that point where I've said this before, we'll talk about this in the newscast, which I'm not even sure if we're going to do tonight. We might have to do that tomorrow because we're just going so long on Obi-Wan. But
no good.
It's no good. We're going to get back in the game. It's no good. But when they casted him, there's some actors like Danny Trejo where I go, just too recognizable for Star Wars to me. Kamel's not like that, but he has a very type of sense of humor that I go, okay, can he pull this off? Now, especially, it makes sense. There were rumors he was playing a Jedi. And I went, okay, if Kamel plays the type of character he usually does and as a Jedi, I'm not going to like that. So I absolutely love the twist that he was just this swindler, like, just pretending to be a Jedi. He had this set up with the doors being magnetic. He was using the Jedi Force, all this stuff. Because you know what? I don't know why. It just reminded me like a character you would meet in Knights of the Republic. Like somebody you'd hear about this Jedi, you'd go find like, oh, he's just some fucking con artist. You know, like that felt right out of something like Knights of the Old Republic. So one, I think it's the first scene we got to see Obi-Wan's charm again when he was just kind of like down shitting or down talking or shit talking Kamel. And I think this is one, it's not a major con. I think his good guy turn was like a little too easy for me of just, we only have known this guy for 5 minutes. He's like, I've done a lot of bad things, but this is my chance to make it right and everything. And I'm fine. It's like, okay, we'll go along with it. But it just felt like we needed a bit more time with this guy. But I liked the character. I actually didn't mind when Reva came up to him. He's like, oh, you've been looking for me for years. The bounty's gone from $1 million to $2 million. Like, I don't know. It all worked for me, and I like that he's alive. So I like that. Yeah. So maybe if we don't see him in Obi-Wan, I'd love if he popped up in a different show or something. But I liked all that except for, like I said, the good guy turn was just a tad too quick for me.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I was just eating into all of his humor that I just liked the character from the get-go. I remember speculate, because obviously we knew he was going to be in the show. I thought maybe he would be a Jedi. I think maybe that was the common consensus.
I think it was rumors, and because it's the way he was dressed that people are like, oh, he's definitely a Jedi. It's like, oh, now we know there's a reason.
He's doing Force powers in here. Yeah, no, I loved it though, because like for a moment,
Leakers reading all the set reports, like, oh, he's doing the mind trick. He's a robe. He's definitely a Jedi.
Yeah, so like in the moment, like when he enters the room, lowering the metal things like for the windows, and yeah, like I think all of the performance I was believing, but the way he was talking, I'm like, oh, he's a con man. He's 100% a con man here. And then obviously Obi-Wan saw through it, and I think I liked the good guy turn, but I agree with you. There should have been more like to it, like to make it more believable. It's just for me, I'm like, okay, he's not dead. He's gonna be some sort of maybe like helper. I mean, he helped Obi-Wan here, so again, he's just helping our hero, but also like I didn't love him in Eternals, obviously, but I the more I see of him, I can definitely understand, like I'm getting charmed by his humor for sure. And I think like the fact that he actually did help that family, it's like, okay, at the end of the day, he actually has some like morals to him. Like he's not just a total piece of shit that's just like ruining this family just to get their money. Like he actually did get them off planet, and he did say that, and like he does like we said, like it's like, does it keep me up at night? Sometimes, like not all the time, but sometimes it does. And like he's still like borderline like piece of shit, but has some morals to it. And the line that really that I really liked, and again, this was mostly on Ewan, because he says like after I don't even know what his name was in the show.
Kamel's name?
Yeah.
Hasha.
Thank you for remembering that. He like after seeing Obi-Wan perform like force powers, like he actually knows that this guy's a Jedi, and he's like, we need you, like we actually like you can't just go away, like you need to get out of here, like we actually need your kind. And then it goes to Obi-Wan, and again, it might have been the lighting, but I swear he had like some minor like just teary eyes, and I'm like, oh my god, Ewan is just like so fucking good in this moment. It's similar that he had with it's even more so when he hears Anakin's name, because he's like actually like shook in that moment, but just ever so slightly, like you could just see some like oh my god, the people actually want the Jedi. Like it's awesome to not just be called like a vermin and like just a coward. And being told that, like
They are
obviously by the
cowards, but-
Inquisitors, and they are cowards, but like
Yeah.
being told that by the Inquisitors and like just common people that maybe aren't too like well known of like the whole Jedi thing, because obviously people are growing up now in this time of like the propaganda the Imperials are saying like if you find a Jedi like they are evil, like
They
basically
attacked
report them.
Palpatine. You know?
Yeah, exactly, like all these things. So like for him to just be around that, obviously dealing with his own internal battles that he's been dealing with for over 10 years now, of just like I am the one that like led to the indirect death of so many of my friends that were Jedi and stuff. Like there's so much weight that he had to have this one individual be like, we need you. And it was just like, oh my god, I'm not even, I mostly side for the Siths, but I'm still like, oh my god, I think I need the Jedi. Like this
Mostly
is
side
such a
with
great
Siths.
moment.
Something's wrong with you. You mostly side with the Siths. These terrorists,
yeah.
these people.
Okay, maybe I don't side with the Sith, but I agree more with their point of view. Honestly,
They
I don't need the
killed
Boy Scouts.
They had Anakin go and slaughter a bunch of
You're
children.
pro
and
Kylo
everything.
Ren, so you can't say anything.
No.
Yeah,
I'm pro Ben Solo. You know what I want? I don't want Kylo Ren. I
I'm
want
not
Ben
pro
Solo.
Darth Sidious. Okay, he took the Sith title and took it down a different
Oh yeah,
realm
because the
that
guy
I
that
like.
created the Rule 2 created a fucking Sith bomb and killed everybody. He's the
Yeah,
one
hey,
to
that's
be
not canon
following.
anymore, right? I don't even
Not
know the new
yet,
canon
not
on Darth
yet.
Bane. I was like
think
slightly
there
going
is
through it on the
yet.
Wikipedia.
There is.
Oh, there
Clone
is.
Wars.
He's like in Rebels or something.
No, I know, but I feel like is even how he started the Rule 2. Like I feel like that's not been dived deep into yet, right? Like they can
probably
kind of
not.
still color some space.
Did they
in there,
retcon
right?
that? Is he still like the maker of the Rule of Two?
Rule of Two is
canon?
still
Yeah.
confirmed.
But we don't know
Okay,
the story,
that's
right,
good.
Taylor? We don't know about if there's a bomb anymore or not, right?
The thought
The
bomb.
bomb is definitely not.
That's not
canon.
canon anymore.
That's
yeah.
stupid. The bomb's stupid. I like
It
the
was
idea
pretty
of-
stupid. It was a pretty, yeah, it was a big moment at the end of the book, but still, it's like, really? Okay,
He's like, how
here
do we
go.
get rid of all these Siths? A fucking bomb. It's just like, can't we just
thought
hunt them
bomb.
down?
Yeah.
Like, that's a great book of him hunting down all these Siths, but no, we get a bomb. All right.
There's
We'll
so
get
many
that.
of them.
We'll get another name.
There we go, Wobbly Boots. Put some respect on Darth Bane's name. Thank
Nah,
you.
he was a bitch. He needed a bomb. At
He
least
wasn't a
Anakin.
bitch.
At least Anakin went at Jedi Order and just like one-handed a bunch of people. Darth Bane's like,
Darth Bane would have fucked Anakin up left, right, and
yeah, if
center,
he had his
even with Obi-Wan.
bombs. If he had his bomb,
You didn't even
okay.
need that. No
Do you-
lightsaber.
are you
would just
taking
beat the
that
shit out
bet,
of him.
Taylor? Is Darth Bane gonna beat Darth Vader?
I'm not talking about canon one either. I'm talking about the Legends version.
Well,
I
I don't know. If you take his bombs away, I don't think he's gonna like gob him without a
The
glider.
thought
He's just a
bomb
man
wasn't even
walking.
like him though. It was.
Huh?
He's not even the one that did it.
But he helped. It was his whole thing, you know. It was his idea. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
he incepted the mind. That's
That's
conversation
another
for,
time.
That's a
But
cantina
I
conversation.
agree with
talk,
you
perhaps.
where Taylor, you're talking about like, oh, we want to get him back to his Zen part. That's where I think again, people saying we need the Jedi, you're a Jedi, stuff like that. That's gonna help him out, and that's gonna get to there. And I think that was a good moment because, yeah, again, the good guy turns a little light. Even Fanboy Clay says he likes the idea of civilians being like kind of that symbol of hope. It's like the Superman S and everything
Yeah.
like that. So Mike Hayes says, I love the series, had me on the knife edge, and the nightmare was really cool. And then just a quick fodder. Family Clay says Prime Bane would destroy Prime Vader, and then Wobbly Boots. He gave knowledge to the Power of Dark Council, and they bombed themselves.
Exactly.
Oh man, there you go. But then after the bomb, see, who in the Legends killed Darth Bane though? That's what I want to know. Because if he
I
went out
believe
like
it
a
was his apprentice. But I'll
Yeah,
confirm.
if he went out like a
Xana, I
bitch,
think.
if he went out like a bitch, Vader and him got that kind of in common.
Killed by his apprentice Darth Xana.
Yeah.
She used a mixture of lightsaber skills and dark side force tendrils and mind fogging to defeat him.
Fuck yeah.
This guy
Mind
lost the
fogging.
tendrils. He lost the tendrils.
Tendrils
yeah.
can fuck you up.
I
You
guess
seen
they
Venom?
can.
He's got tendrils.
Oh, let's move on from that now. What was I gonna say here?
Any more on Kuma? I don't
I
even
got a
know how to
couple
say his
thoughts.
name. I'm so bad at Pasha.
Hasha, yeah. No, I
Taylor,
thought
you
there
had a
was,
couple thoughts on him as well?
Yeah, go ahead.
He was just absolutely delightful. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about his character, but I did read like a couple things he was talking about his character before the show came out, so I was curious. And then, yeah, seeing how he was just, it was easy to click right away, like, oh, this guy's totally bullshitting. And
Especially when he's like he's doing the mind tricks on the mic, and then Obi-Wan's just like, okay, come on
Yeah.
here.
And his brain
Yeah.
hurts at the end. He's like, I'm leaving your mind now. He's like, oh.
yeah, exactly. So I got a kick out of that. That was definitely funny. But yeah, I do think that he was a swindler, but you could see the genuinity from him helping this mother and get off world with her force sensitive son. I really, really like that. So then when you have this debacle, I like the setup too. Is like, hey, uh, he's going out to get the bounty on Obi-Wan or whatnot with his blaster and stuff. I got a kick out of that. I enjoyed that because I thought, okay, he's fulfilling the shoes of being this like shitty kind of character. And then you have it kind of like turn to the right when he's genuinely hopeful and Obi-Wan says his name and he just gets super excited about it because he believes that, like you guys said, the Jedi need to come back. And I like that. And for me, that's totally a plausible thing where people, no matter what their stance is, they believe in this one cause and they'll just drop what they're doing. Like, here, take it. Like, you know, you can't trust me, sure, but like it's what's right. And I like that. It just felt hopeful, reminded me of these characters believing in the Jedi throughout like Rebels and stuff like that when you have characters trying to help Kanan and Ezra. So
And like just touching upon that, I think that's another outlook on the Jedi that I never really thought of too much, because basically when they, like, other than I guess like the New Hope stuff, like they are the New Hope in the galaxy. Like when Luke comes in and like,
well, Luke's the New Hope, not they.
Luke is the
You
New
know,
Hope, but
Luke's
like
the New Hope.
what
on
follows after that, the sequel trilogy or the original trilogy.
Oh, the one when they
is-
prove the chosen one's a myth, not a real thing. Yeah.
There's a losing battle. Then I'll quickly say that like in the prequel movies, when they're just like an army, like it's literally like they're just cops at that point. Like the Jedi are just so numerous and like they're just everywhere. You don't feel like there's a darkness in the universe and like there's these beings that are Jedi. Like I never really felt that in the prequels, honestly. So touching upon that, we've already mentioned, and what Haja was saying, like we need you. Like that's where I'm like, oh my god, like what? Yeah, we do.
Well, and I think that's part of some of the things that Lucas was trying to put out there, but didn't do the greatest. I think the books have done better at that. As far as the Jedi did lose their way that way, as far as they used to be, especially that's what we're talking about right now in our High Republic books, that they are a symbol of hope. Like they're literally their call, their praying sign is like for the light, for the Jedi, for whatever it is, stuff like that. Where later on in the prequels it gets turned to for the Republic, and it's like, that's kind of lost all the meaning of what the Jedi is, and they became a political figure instead of fighting for what's good or peace. And that's kind of, obviously that's why Dooku supposedly switched. I think he's kind of bullshitting there. I feel like he gave that as an excuse, where Qui-Gon was from the inside being like, hey, something's wrong here. Like something should change. He got fucking killed before he could really do much and everything. So that's kind of the point, is that they lost their way of that hope symbol. They didn't become hope. They became political. It's just,
yeah.
It's honestly, I'm trying not to be like Taylor here and get into like certain things, but just like same thing as some things with the police where they're supposed to be a symbol of hope, but now some areas it's not that as much anymore. It's become very political, and you have people not doing their fucking job and letting people, especially children, die. But I digress. I gotta address James Lucas here, because here's the thing: I did not enjoy
Stir in
the fact.
pot.
Oh yeah, I want to bring up his points and see, have a conversation. Did not enjoy the fact that Obi-Wan could barely remember how to use the Force, while the new character, not named, is doing spinning flips across the rooftops and killing one of the coolest characters. So there's two things that are definitely wrong there. They dropped Reva like 10 times. They said Reva a bunch. One of the coolest characters being killed. If you're talking about the Grand Inquisitor, as we've said, it's a theory. I don't think any of us really think he's dead. Sith people heal themselves all the time. And we talked about it earlier, but it's not that he couldn't remember doing the Force. It's just, if you haven't done it in a long time, it'd be very hard. It's like if Taylor were to, let's say Taylor, for every day he ran on a treadmill for an hour, right? And then he stopped for 10 years, and then he got back on that treadmill. It's going to be fucking hard to like get back on that treadmill. You can't just get back on it. You'll know it, and it's like the riding the bike, but you can't be running that full speed, that full breath if you've taken a 10-year break. And also, last time Taylor got on that treadmill, he killed his best friend and let the whole world down. So it's like there's a lot of baggage with that treadmill. That's what the Force is,
Additionally, you're totally right. You're taking time off on that treadmill for 10 years, but when you go back on that treadmill, like, okay, not when you go back on the treadmill, but then a 10-year process, you are fighting yourself to not go on that treadmill. Like you are, and with the Force, like the Force is a part of you, so you are literally cutting that out of you, and that's a big thing. So it's definitely going to be brutal to try and reconnect to that. So I totally give all that credit to him trying to reconnect. And again, play Fallen Order, because you can it'll help you understand that kind of dynamic and that tribulation that Jedi will have when they cut themselves and sever their ties with the Force. It's brutal. So
Nathan, you got to keep reading the Higher Plug. I know you don't like it, but man, there's
It's
some good
so
shit in there.
good.
Yeah, and that's where even then, though, Nathan, if you wouldn't like that stuff, the idea of the Jedi being more about hope than the Republic, that's what it hits on, at least there.
a lot of
And
sex.
and as far as Dooku being the next second best Sith to the Empire, I just mean more in the movies as far as they say he like turned because the Jedi were losing their way. Clone Wars tries to flesh that out, but in the movies they don't really do a good job. He just has a passing line like, "I think my friend Qui-Gon would be here with me," and it's like, okay, dude. And then Anakin fucks him up in Episode 3, so I don't know about that. So he's Obi-Wan Kenobi. The Jedi they hung in the street has no problem using the Force. Yeah, because that Jedi, James, that Jedi is supposedly still using the Force the whole time. Where
Yeah, he didn't
Obi-Wan
cut himself off.
Yeah.
He was still fighting the fight. And well, again, Obi-Wan told him, like, you gotta
Stop doing it.
You gotta
Go
simmer
live
down.
life.
You gotta, go in the dunes out there, bury your
It's like,
lightsaber.
come on, Obi-Wan, we can take them.
We can take him.
like,
Yeah,
fuck,
we'll take
man.
him together.
I gotta work in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he gets back into town, and that Jedi's just strung from the top and everything. Thank God, like I didn't feel this for a second, but I thought they were gonna say the Jedi just like killed himself, like as a sign to Obi-Wan, because the way he was hanging. I was like, man, good thing it was the Inquisitors that took him down. But yeah, the Safdie brother did not make it, unfortunately, for this. And
I did not think he was gonna. I'm
Nope.
like, who is this random Jedi that I've never seen before? He's just faced off with
I didn't
Inquisitors.
even
off.
take it that the Inquisitors killed him. I honestly just because the Inquisitors left, I just saw him strung up. Like, okay, it's the townsfolk that just kicked the shit out of him. I
we gotta
guess.
get rid of you.
Get
That was
him,
another.
yeah.
That was another one as far as a chase scene where when he ran out of the restaurant and he like threw down these beams, but like the beams are pretty small. You could just walk around them, and then the beams also had like man-sized holes that you could just walk through, and it was just like, this is supposed to like, and it did. It like slowed down the Inquisitors for 2 minutes. It's like whoever their chase choreographer is in the show, they got to work on that, because like these find some other things to throw in their way. But is there anything else you guys have
I got my
not
notes.
brought
I'll
up
pull
that
it up.
I feel like there's one thing I'm forgetting? I'll have to bring up next week. I'm pretty mad because I feel like it was
I
going.
want to shout out. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that obviously you guys talked about those predictions and stuff like that, but we didn't even talk about. We see Vader. We see Vader. He's and I imagine that's Hayden Christensen, like all looking, in the makeup and everything like that. So I like that it's episode 2. I know even Espo's theory was that it was gonna be episode 3. I think this is. When the way this episode ended, I'm like, okay, we're getting Vader now, because with Reva just saying he's coming for you and stuff like that, it's okay. They've alluded to Vader, it's happening, and I feel like because they released 2, that's a good hook for the GA to come back for number 3. It's like, oh man, I
Yeah.
got to see what happens with Vader, and I gotta say we already talked about, but man, too, I feel like you must have been on cloud 9 that this thing started with a fucking Order 66 flashback.
I was gonna
I
say,
could not
oh.
believe that. I could not believe that he did that, or that the show did that, because it's just so funny that people have been like, the 2 things I'm sick and tired of is Tatooine and Order 66, and that's like the first 5 minutes of the show. But because you get it in Jedi Fallen Order, and we just did that in Clone Wars the last season. Like they do Order 66 a lot, right?
It's such a that is the moment. That is the most pivotal moment, I would say, in Star Wars. You got the Death Star blowing up, all that stuff, Alderaan blowing up. You got all that stuff, and those are huge moments as well. But the purge of the Jedi Order, the formation of the Galactic Empire, this is one of the biggest turning points in galactic history in Star Wars. The culmination of decades of planning of Sith Lords finally resulting in Palpatine being able to succeed with this ultimate plan. This is huge. So again, if people are pissed about that, by all means, they can be pissed. But at the end of the day, I put my hands on my head because I thought, oh god, like I saw the younglings training
Both
and
heads.
immediately thought like, oh shit, we have this debacle. It's gonna unfold. And yeah, like it was, first of all, it was very cool to see
This debacle.
non
That's what they said.
CGI
Yeah.
clone troopers here. We got
Oh,
dudes
yeah.
in armor, full on like practical effect there. It was just super super cool. But as soon as the door opened up and they just started unloading on that Jedi mentor, I was like, holy fuck, this is crazy. She goes into the hallway and she's defending the younglings successfully, eliminating these clones. I was like, oh, this is fucking
Define
crazy.
successful. She did die. I don't define that as success.
They got away.
No, she successfully
Yeah, I
guess.
protected the
We got Reva.
younglings. I would say
Yeah,
that
look
whole
what- yeah,
sequence.
good job.
She
No,
killed that
whole
future Jedi thanks to Reva.
that whole sequence, she
Yeah.
successfully defended them up until
Yeah.
the point that we ended off with us seeing them. So I would say that was successful because most of these Jedi Masters and mentors died defending them. So
Yeah.
I honestly thought we were gonna see a de-age Anakin, and I thought that we were gonna see him slice some Jedi's, and Obi-Wan was gonna wake up from a dream. That's what I thought we were getting right
I
there.
thought Anakin was going
Ooh.
to show up 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was first of all, I was blown away by that scene. Just like, oh my god, yeah, Order 66 as you mentioned, Taylor, like to not have just like CGI clones. Like I was wanting more, honestly, of that scene, but with what I got, I think that's perfect. Like you don't like you could see the Jedi fighting like the clones in the background as they're running off, and it's short, it's sweet, and it's just like again, it's very emotional, and like that's like that was the very first shot of the show, and then what follows is like Obi-Wan just working. That dude got his half pay. Very, very sad. You know, he goes back to his cave and he has his like PTS dreams, and then he's just like so alone, and then he's watching over Luke, gives him the toy, just gets thrown like he's trying to do something nice, and he just throws it back in his face, and like it was just a very like heavy emotional start to the show, and I think that's what they needed, and that obviously what they did, and it's in my opinion, I think it was such a good choice.
And again, that's why for me, the reason I did like is one, obviously good for Taylor, which remind me, Taylor, the next thing we should talk about is the other thing that happened in episode 2, which is good for you about a certain retired
yeah,
commander,
we're
which
talking about
that was the thing I was forgotten about. But because again, I'm not the way when people go, okay, we're done with Skywalkers, we have to move on. For me, it's just like if the story pertains to it, something like, or if you just go to Order 66 for no reason, which you could argue with Jedi Fallen Order, you could do that, right? Where it's like, oh, do we have to go that? But again, it's for that character, but especially for Obi-Wan, when we talk about comparing it to losing the biggest Super Bowl of time, that's like training Anakin, right? Order 66 is that breaking off point. That is the complete turning point where the Jedi are fucked and everything changes. Because if the Jedi somehow win Order 66, then Palpatine would have been screwed. Because let's say for some reason, let's say the Jedi found out about Order 66 and they were prepared and somehow they counteracted it, Palpatine would have been done. There would have been way too many Jedi to take on, even though Kit Fisto would have not helped at all. There would have, like, Order 66 was the checkmate move. So,
Yeah.
and especially for Obi-Wan, it fits in this. So it's just like, again, yeah, oh, you don't want to see it, but the good thing is it's probably not going to be in Andor. I don't think Tatooine will be in Andor. And you've gotten stuff like, okay, we had Order 66, and I guess the other one too, Taylor, is in Boba Fett, right? Because in Grogu, that happened. So we've seen it like 3 times the past few years. But again, as long as it fits, and even then, the Grogu one, it's like it's fucking 30 seconds. It's a little thing just to show he was there and stuff like that. So it fits this story to have this one. So it makes sense to me. Like I said, yeah, I did think CGI deepfake young Anakin was coming, and I kind of wish it was, because I remember when they go back and watch the footage, there's like that one footage of Anakin just like holding a person and like one-handing 2 Jedis at the same time, and I thought we are gonna see the live action version of that. Like I thought it was gonna happen. These kids were gonna turn around and this Jedi lady was just gonna have a blade through it. It was gonna be Anakin, but maybe that's still coming. You know, like Clay says, I think it's a good point that yeah, the flashback to next episode. I think we'll get a flashback, at least one next week with Hayden, and that's gonna be interesting.
just get the Grand Inquisitor in his back to tank, just flashbacks at
Oh,
Jocasta
good.
New,
Yeah.
like-
Can't wait. But and then so we had heard about this rumor, and obviously I feel like this is maybe a little less than people wanted, but it did make an appearance. Taylor, can you tell people who did Obi-Wan bump into and give a few credits to this in episode 2?
Yeah, we got pearly whites. Well, actually, no pearly whites this time, but we got a clone trooper from the 501st Legion. I couldn't tell you who he was. I'm sure it'll pop up in Wikipedia
How do you know it's
somewhere.
from the 501st? Is it? Did it have a symbol or just
The blue
color?
markings of his armor. That's.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember there being any other blue marked storm or clone troopers out there aside from the 501st Legion, but I'm just attributing it to that. So
That's crazy.
yeah.
He got
Sorry,
Jar
keep
Jar.
going. Keep going.
No, go ahead. Interrupt.
I was just gonna say though, like, is it not weird that like he is just this like crusty old clone when like all the other clones just got turned into stormtroopers, or am I mistaken there?
Not all of them did. Some of them escaped, right? So he could have been another
he
one
just
of
got
these.
fired. He didn't get a severance, no retirement thing.
Well, he could have
Blah.
been. Yeah, a faulty chip, or he could have been one that got away, but because he has nothing
And if he is
else,
a
he's no
faulty chip,
training.
if he is just a regular clone, wouldn't the stormtroopers be like, "You're not needed, so you're just gonna get killed right here by my blaster"?
They wouldn't kill him. No, a lot of the clones did get like decommissioned and went out doing their
Oh,
own thing.
really?
And
Okay.
again, some of them did become in this homeless situation, I guess, because like what was their purpose? Their purpose was they were made to fight, right? But there are other clones like Rex and Wolf and Gregor that made something of themselves and fought and lived simple
See, that's why I gotta
lives,
watch like Bad Batch, Clone Wars for that
Mhm.
stuff, because that was just really weird to me.
Just
I was
Clone
just like,
Wars.
I was like, what's wrong with Rebels, Travis? You don't like
No,
Rebels?
you said Bad Batch.
Oh,
you
I
said
thought I thought Rex is Bad Batch and like those.
Clone
He's
guys.
Wars
in
and
Bad
Rebels.
Batch.
Yeah, but you don't need to watch Bad Batch, is what I'm saying.
it-
Put
is
that
it that
last.
bad?
Put that.
Is it
No,
that
no,
bad?
no. I just put that last. Just put that last.
Yeah, I'm not starting.
Yeah,
with
I
it. That's
I
what
put
was
it
saying.
last.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just strange for me because
Fucking
it's just
wrecker.
like in my mind, I feel like anyone that's not for the Empire but is basically made to be for the Republic now Empire is just kind of waste. So like, why would they even allow that? But again, I guess it's not worth their time. But
No, he's not living
again,
a,
a
good
whole new
life.
thing that I'm not used to.
He's
Does
not
he have a good
living-
life?
No, he said he's not living. A
Oh,
good
he's not
life.
having. Yeah, no, I agree with
Was
you.
it just
He's living a
me?
good life.
Was it just me, or did his mustache look fake as fuck?
Well,
I
it
mean,
definitely
that
is
was
fake.
all the
Yeah.
respect in my heart, but I looked at it and I was like, oh my god, it just looks like I can see the stitching right here of like it just like it's like it's gonna fall off a little.
Maybe
bit.
that's what he bought with his last credits, a fake beard to get some more money. But
There you
no,
go.
that's probably where those rumors came from. Because remember, it was was it Rex or Cody at one point that was rumored to be in this
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
And this makes sense now how those rumors got started. Because probably Tamora Morrison was on set and he was in a clone trooper outfit, and people were like, "Fuck, he's gonna be one of these clones," and like, he was just another other clone. And again, that's some fun fan service there, where it's alluding to something from Obi-Wan's past, and it's just showing that again, even then. These clones that even if you watched, you'd have to get more of the backstory of Clone Wars and Rebel. But when you watch them in Revenge of Sith, they just go around turning on the Jedi and killing them, right? Now it's like, doesn't work out for all of them either, just because they are on the winning side that day. Look, you have this one clone trooper who's still in his fucking clone armor, homeless, begging for money. So it's like the only people that really ended up on top was like the Empire, Palpatine, and his close circle, and the like really rich people, and that's the
Yeah.
point where everyone was just kind of a pawn to get them to that situation.
The
Yeah.
clones again. I am a huge clone lover, and they definitely had the shortest end of the stick.
So is
because
Kirklin.
They had, they had to kill their freaking like best friends in battle, and that's.
But
just
like,
one
did
of the
they even
hardest
did they even
things.
have emotion though? Because like
No,
the
no,
Order
no.
66 chip is just like ingrained in them, where it's just like, I don't
The-
care
the
about
thing
it.
Once
It's
the
about
just
chip
an
that-
order.
turns over, they don't. I took it.
The thing about that is, yes, when the chip takes over, they do lose that. But when some of these clones, when that chip is removed, they're fully aware and they could feel that emotion that they had to go through and undergo with that. And that's one of the traumatizing things. Like even with Rex, I can't spoil it, but it happens. You see, that is
Some
one Clone
PTSD.
Wars
Saw,
moment.
man.
That is one Clone Wars moment. No matter how many times I watch it, when you see that Order 66 with Rex, it makes fucking tears come out of my eyes. Like it hits home. So there are clones that do experience that, but
I
that
gotta
is
get
just
through the early seasons of Clone Wars.
You
Fuck, I
do.
feel like I've attempted like
All on
twice,
Disney
and I
Plus.
just get some
Yeah.
like Jar Jar episodes or some just
Cringe
very
those
filler.
ones.
It's rough, but it's the type of show. It's like I want to put on just in the background to like get through it, but I know there's good episodes, so it's like, what point do I actually have to be like fully engaged in? But I don't think
Set
that's
like
till
a
later in
goal,
the
like
season.
do like 2 a week or something like that. Easy.
It's a good, yeah. that's
Or
a good-
do
that's a
3,
good way
because
to
if
do
you
it.
do 3, that's just 1 hour, because they're 22-minute episodes. So do
Yeah,
3,
the
that's 1
runtime
hour of your
helps.
time. Boom.
But just to end it off on that clone trooper, yeah, I think that was great fan service, very subtle, and just it adds to that world building so much. And it was upsetting to see. It made me really sad.
Let me look at my notes here. But
I got some
think-
notes here to shout out.
I got one more.
I was. Do you want to go? If you have one more, I got. Like,
I just don't know. I've been waiting
I
for
got
one
many.
of you guys to
I got
shout
many.
it out.
Look at my list.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna shout it
Okay.
out just in case you
Do it.
C3PO. Shout outs to C3PO
Yeah,
this episode.
Yeah.
Good one.
That's the fan service I like, even though he pops up in all these fucking things. But even in Rogue One, when they give him R2 the scene where they walk and have dialogue, I know people go, oh, but this makes more sense to me because they're on Alderaan, where C3PO is coming from. And what's he doing? He's just in the background talking to some fucking people. Great. moving on. Like it's a great like finger point, but it's not. Look at this. For me, at least, it's not. That's the type of fan service I think I like and get away with. I think there are levels of it, and I think that's the right type of it.
100%. Yeah, that was because there's so many like different versions of that type of droid. Like there was what was the one that Leia interacted with where she thanked him and her
Was it
like,
Keo
shitty
or
little
something?
cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I probably would have just thought it was another one of those droids, but thank you to my subtitles because it actually said like C-3PO.
Oh, did it?
When he was talking to someone, so that helped me there. That's how I identified it. But I was gonna shout out the Obi-Wan and the Jawas dialogue in that cave. Jawa's such a little piece of shit, but like in this moment, I love that we had like subtitles to actually like see what they're saying like to Obi-Wan, and just their back and forth was really funny. I quite enjoyed that. And then another thing with like his little cave, I love his little like warning droid that comes up like blue, there's no one there, red, it's like there's someone in your cave. Again, little detail, but I just loved it. Let's see. Yeah, the diverse range of aliens, that was good. I was unsure about Obi-Wan leaving the planet at first, but obviously that all changed. That was my note I wrote at episode 1, but that all changed episode 2. Yeah, costume designs, 100%. Music, I guess I already shouted out most of these. Yeah, and then the other, oh yeah, never mind, we already brought that up about just getting to see Obi-Wan really trying to like struggle against his like Jedi code of like trying to help people. And I, again, credit to Ewan on like being able to just show that without being like, oh, I can't help this person, like actually like dumb it down for like the lowest common denominator viewer. It's just like you could tell by his body language, and I'm loving it. I'm so excited for next week. Clay reminded, it's just like after next week, it's already halfway through the show. It's like, my gosh. But at the same time, like if it's a good 6, like if it's just these 2 episodes for the rest of like the series, like that's chef's kiss. Like you don't need more episodes than that. Like I think it's a good runtime if it
show's done.
stays this
This
quality.
is it. 2 episodes.
Because obviously, like
Vader's
obviously the second one is shorter, but the first one, I mean, that felt like a full-on almost movie.
Yeah.
Like obviously
Yeah.
it's not. It's 56 minutes, and then you take the credits away. But just like the length, there's a few times where I thought it was ending. Like, oh no, we're still going. So if it could at least stay in that 45 plus, watch the finale. It'd be fucking 22 minutes, like all these MCU shows where it's like 37 minutes. Like, what happened in the finale? Where you guys running out of budget here? But especially because I think there is going to be one episode that might just be, if they are doing a Jedi, if they're doing this Obi-Wan Vader duel again, I think that's going to be almost just one full episode in itself, just the build for that, the actual duel and everything. And it'll be interesting because when I was rewatching Revenge of the Sith recently, as somebody that does not have that lightsaber duel at number 1, I think I have in the top 5, but I think it might be 5. Like, there's people that love that duel and put on such a high pedestal. That's going to be tough to even get anywhere near that one for those people. That's where sometimes I even go, oh, is it even worth doing another duel? Because can you top that? But
I hope it has a lot of dialogue in the duel. I hope it's something like that where it's like a healthy balance.
It's not necessarily about topping episode 3's duel. Like, I just want duels that are like those prequel fights with how the Jedi fought, because I have nothing against what we got in terms of lightsaber fights in the sequel trilogy. It was definitely in its own right, its own kind of lightsaber combat. But for me, again, this is where I was growing up as a kid. Seeing how the Jedi moved, it was just so seamless in those prequel movies. I love their fighting style so much.
But I don't think you could. I don't think they should do that with Obi-Wan, because that would kind of take.
You can't.
Yeah.
Not when Vader is in this position now, because every time you see Vader fight, especially
He's
like
rigid.
he is
Yeah.
rigid. I'm gonna default to again, Fallen Order. How he moves, he's like an unstoppable wall with like one hand on his saber, progressing forwards as he fights. Even again in Rebels when he fights, like he's just this terrorizing like
It's a lot of body weight.
structure. Yeah, so you can't have that same fight you get in Revenge of the Sith. You need to change that up. So the fight that you're gonna get with Obi-Wan, I think it's gonna be it will be slowed and like a very humbling fight. I hope, but not as slow and as like dialogue as A New Hope. Yeah, it's not gonna be like that. But I think it's gonna have a nice mixture of something in between with like a little bit of flavor from Revenge of the Sith, and then just much more of that like strong, like this is like how Vader moves from like the original trilogy, I guess.
I think that's what's so special too, that differentiates Anakin Skywalker, the Jedi Knight, from Darth Vader, like the Sith Lord. Like it's their fight styles are like it's the same individual, but like they're very different. You know, you have Anakin doing flips and stuff like that. But yeah, Vader is a very it's a different individual, and
Vader's power kind of makes up for his lack of agility.
yeah,
You know,
100%. Yeah,
I think what they got to do is find a middle ground. They should look at 3, and then they should look at 4 and go, where can we go in the between? Now, people are gonna say I'm biased because this is my favorite lightsaber fight, but I think the fight they should look at is Luke versus Vader in Episode 6 because that has some dialogue.
that's
but
good.
it's like Luke is agile, but he's still slower because he's not like he's a Jedi Knight. He's not even a master there, and Vader's bumbling around. Now you could say Vader's younger here, but at the same time you could say he's still less experienced in the suit, right? You know, still 10 years in the suit, but that's the fight I think they should go after, where there's times where that is a slower down fight, but there's fight quickness. And I do like all the different eras because I like the sequel fights because I feel like both Rey and Kylo, they're still kind of learning. They haven't had Jedi fights, and I actually still think the Rise of Skywalker fight works because it's just these two people just fucking that just like hate and love each other, and like that's when they're at their most powerful. That's what I feel like with those two, you know, that's for a Patreon episode. But I don't think you can do the Obi-Wan. They got to do something different. I don't want to see Obi-Wan, in my opinion, what I would say is doing the dancing choreography where he's just a fine-tuned machine, because that would take away from, that's what I liked in Logan, is even those final fights, he's still an old guy. He can still barely get through these things, and I feel like that should be Obi-Wan here, because if he just clicks back into prequel territory where he's ass kicker, there would be a disconnect with what the show's putting out so far.
yeah. I had like that in the back of my mind at the end of Episode 1 when you just have him like with his saber like going on his mission there. It's like, oh no, like what are we doing here? Is he gonna be just killing people? You know what followed wasn't
you getting
that,
on
but
this
I
train?
agree.
Yes, I am. He's just tearing. He goes back to his job, fucks up that guy with his lightsaber. Give him his full money. Give him his money.
I'm taking the meat too. It's
Oh, he just has a huge bag of meat with him.
Notice
I'll
how
be back in a few months. Throws it to his little animal there.
every shift that he has, he takes like that one little like piece of meat. Is he giving that to his little
Yeah.
camel thing? Okay,
I just don't know if it's
couldn't quite
legal or
remember.
not, though.
Oh, it's definitely illegal. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
but
hides that.
how does
again,
he get
like,
away with
hiding
that
his
every
face.
day?
He walked through Daya, whatever that planet was, with
Yeah.
no hood on.
Well, and I was gonna say, okay, so take away that part, but take away the breaking the fourth wall of, okay, when he has the hood off, won't people see him? Damn, he looked good there, because I love that it looked like the old Jedi Rose, but they're
Dude,
all
his
like
hair,
tattered.
too.
Yeah, the hair was so good when he took off, but I love that they were tattered and dirty. So he was looking like an awesome Jedi. He was looking like somebody you would have found in Dagobah and stuff like that. So I loved his look in Dio, actually.
Yeah, when he had that fight scene with the Zabrak and that other guy, and then like the next scene is when like he's going from that corridor to like the other corridor where Leia is supposedly at, and then his hair's all disheveled because he was in a fight, and he just flips it back. I'm like, man, what a handsome guy. He looks so good. Oh yeah. Question for Taylor here, because you mentioned Vader's like back to tank sessions that he has, because this is 10 years after Order 66. Is this just a regular thing that he does like every week, or is he like still recuperating from the Mustafar thing? I would imagine he's like kind of being a Vader, like going out about and fucking people up. But
If
like,
I remember correctly, his sessions in the back to tank got to a point where like I think he was doing it because he wanted to try and be a point that he used to be, I guess. Like I don't want to say like Anakin Skywalker, but
it's like a meditative
he was haunted by
strengthen his resolve.
Padme basically.
Oh, okay.
And there was a lot of dilemma there that was kind of egging him on to try and like get to a point where he used to be, as I don't want to say Anakin Skywalker, but a previous version of himself. Until one day Palpatine, I think, like started like commenting on this and like calling him weak or something like that in regards to it. Yeah, something along those lines. And so he reached a point where he just thought, you know, fuck it, I'm just gonna embrace it. I'm not gonna worry about trying to heal and become this previous version of myself. I'm just gonna own up to what I am, and I'm done. So there's a few things that come into play with that, but I think it's a cool little component.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Did we see the Bacta tank in Rogue One or no?
Yeah, you see the full tank.
And that's like right up to A New Hope, so it's not like he's not juicing still a little
No,
bit.
yeah, like I figured he was having these sessions every once in a while, but I was just curious, like at this stage, 10 years after Order 66, like what's his power level at? Like I don't think he's at his peak for Darth Vader. Like would you say his peak is Episode 4, or like even before that, or even way sooner than that when he's still kind of
It's
previously
before,
Anakin?
because as soon as he starts encountering Luke, then that starts taking his peak down.
I was,
Yeah.
He starts to be compromised.
I was also gonna say I know there's always a peak, but to me something controversial is like Vader never actually reaches his peak because there's always the talk is about how he's gonna be the most powerfulness, but like there's always something holding
I
him
think it's his
back.
personal peak, right?
His,
Yeah, no,
his
but I mean,
suit
like,
was a factor in
Padme-
that too, right?
Yeah, but like Padme, Palpatine, Skywalker, and then like feel like there was
It's a
always
lot on his
something.
mind,
Yeah, and I feel like there's always something keeping him from being to that point, right? It's the same thing. That's why I love the Kylo Ren character, where what kept him from that point is he just was worried, can I ever be as powerful as Vader and powerful as Vader? Even though multiple characters would be like, yeah, dude, like you're more powerful than Vader, but he could never unlock it because he mind fucked himself. So it's the thing. I think there's a version where Vader could have snapped and been actually took out Palpatine, but he got the jitters. He couldn't fucking do it, you know.
He-
If
So
he was
I
like an
wouldn't-
actual, like fully fledged Sith Lord, like where all he thought of was like overthrowing his master, that would have been, that
Yeah.
probably would have been the peak Vader there.
no,
I can't recall which. Oh boy,
our
I can't
favorites back in the
recall
chat looking for sex
which-
bots, eh?
Yeah.
I can't recall which comic it kind of addresses it.
Hey, love
or
to fuck.
whatnot.
Whoa, Emily, put away your other account.
But there is a lot of moments where, again, like the build up between like the relationship of Vader and and Palpatine is not
The
like,
Palpatine.
it's not all peaches and cream. As soon as Vader learns that Luke is his son, it immediately turns sideways. Like Vader gets super fucking pissed and challenges Palpatine at times. So that's an interesting dynamic in itself. But when you look and discuss the moment of him being peak, I would definitely say it's within the 10-year period of him being Order 66. Like he in the comics alone, him
So
always
he's-
feeling challenged. Like when it comes to the Inquisitors being formed, the Inquisitorius, he was again concerned like, oh, is this my replacement? Like if the Grand Inquisitor defeated me and he's telling this Palpatine, would that have resulted in him being beside you instead of me? And then Palpatine just kind of reaffirms like, did you ever doubt that you would have failed against him? Like, no. So that explains that. And so there's this interesting Sith dynamic. But after Order 66 and he goes out and he gets his Kyber crystal and he defeats like Darth Maul's spirit as well after building his castle on Mustafar. Like there's this whole dynamic and tribulation that he faces as a Sith Lord that really rises him up above and makes him this powerful force. And it just is more and more emphasized again. Like I wouldn't even say like the first 10 years, like even in Rebels, he's just he is so high.
Oh,
But even
I
then,
gotta start
Ahsoka
watching
fucks
that.
him up, right? Like Ahsoka gets him near death there. Yeah,
Ooh,
she.
I
chips
wouldn't say near death at all. Like she got a definite good blow because he was focused on getting a Sith holocron in that scene. Did you watch that episode? I'm assuming, Travis.
Oh
If you
yeah, yeah.
finished it?
I actually watched it twice this past month because I wanted to rewatch it. But like,
I definitely wouldn't say like she was gonna like kill him or anything like that because like that moment gives me.
but you
fucking
could also
goosebumps.
argue that she didn't kill him because she was emotionally compromised, right? Because it was
She didn't
Anakin.
kill him because she didn't become emotionally compromised until like he said like Ahsoka, and that moment like clicked with her. That's
I'm gonna kill you.
yeah,
he turns
fuck,
real
that
quick.
was so fucking dark.
Yeah, and
Oh,
I was
man.
wondering if they were gonna redo that with Obi-Wan, but even then, I just want to point out that then even Darth Vader at his peak, if he fights Obi-Wan again, still could not beat Obi-Wan. So it's like shows you there might be someone more powerful, but Obi-Wan he always had his fucking number. Because I don't care what people say. People are gonna throw up episode 4 in my face. Obi-Wan fucking like self-suicide there. Like he gave
Yeah.
he
Well,
Well, he got
literally
the
put,
one up. He
What?
ghosted him.
Oh
So he got
yeah,
the
like
one up.
he. But that's why I love that Vader is this all powerful being. But like Obi-Wan still like if we're gonna get this other fight again, no matter what, like he couldn't get him. Even if he killed him in episode 4, it's like Obi-Wan literally just put his
Put in the
lightsaber up.
robes.
Yeah, he gave himself up. So that's what I like about that character.
And don't they make a point, like I think it's in the prequels, of like how Anakin is so skilled like with the saber. Like he is very skilled in that sense, but like the big thing with Obi-Wan, he's just so resolved in his mind. Like he can actually like,
oh yeah.
like cuz Anakin is such a whiny little brat obviously in those prequels, but then it kind of makes sense for the character, like how you're mentioning with like Darth Vader, of just always having these thoughts of like Padme, and just these like then when Luke gets introduced, like again, like he can't just be like, oh, I am a Sith. It's all about power and strength, and like it doesn't matter if I have a kid. But like clearly that like just those thoughts kind of weaken him because he can't fully access,
Oh
the
yeah.
full Darth Vader. Again, kind of rambling.
That's why Siths suck, man. Siths, you don't get your full power.
There's interesting moments in the comics, and again, the comics don't. I mean, you can it's canon, whatever you want to call it, but just for backstory context, there's moments where you see Vader doing meditation and everything like that, and he has such a struggle trying to get through these things, which is again why I give you guys credit when you say like he does have this conflict that might result in him being conflicted at moments when he's fighting members of his past, which it all stacks up. But these periods of his meditation and self-reflection, and he's just dealing with the death of his mom, the death of Padme, and he just Order 66 in general, and Palpatine. It's fascinating. He's becoming a very, very well enriched character in terms of the struggle and the backstory, and I love that we've gotten just so much more depth to him over time.
That's what would have been great if we got a movie about Darth Vader in between these times, but that didn't happen. But as me and Tay, I think,
Never
talked
say
about the
never.
newscast, I don't think a Vader series is out of the question. I
Yeah.
really don't. I think especially with
Him
Hayden.
versus Darth Bane.
Yeah.
Especially if like there's a lot of positive reception of like Hayden Christensen's
Yes, I think there
return.
will be.
Yeah.
I think people are just excited for it. But and talking about Sith Lords and everything, just to bring up people's trump card, Obi-Wan can be great. Unless he fights Count Dooku, because if he fights Count Dooku, he fucking sucks. He's never had a training day in his life, because Count Dooku apparently just mops the floor with Obi-Wan every single time. But in my head canon as well, because he trained Qui-Gon, so he would know everything that Qui-Gon trained Obi-Wan. But man, does he just fucking embarrass him. For Obi-Wan, who can take on Darth Vader, twice Dooku just takes out Obi-Wan like nothing. It's like, man.
That is a character I really want to know more about, and I know he's like a lot more relevant in Clone
Well, we
Wars
can't
and stuff
recast
like
him.
that.
Sorry, no recasting of classic characters. So no young Dooku.
Young Dooku.
That, I've always said my pitch is next
That'd be
Obi-Wan.
so
My next
interesting.
series was the Dooku Qui-Gon series of them younger, like young, like because I just feel like that's such an interesting dynamic with those two. But can't recast those characters, guys. Can't recast them
No,
because
that's right.
you know what
It's
happens when you
nearly
recast
impossible.
them. Yeah, nearly impossible. Even though I guess there was a proven thing that she didn't actually say that it was author. Yeah. But
So
she
we're
did
just fake
say.
news.
She did say that like it's abundantly clear that we can't do that, or it's hard to do that. It's still not good. But again, if you recast, you get great stuff, maybe like Obi-Wan possibly. So is there anything we went on a tangent there? Is there anything about the show specifically to shout out before we end it here?
I don't know if I commented. I know Travis, you brought it up, but just like when Leia was showing those Padme isms. I know you brought it up, but I couldn't remember if I touched upon it. It's just, man, that was one where it's like, first of all, I wasn't expecting to have Leia in this or like Alderaan, none of this stuff. But like that comparison of seeing like the Padme in her, that really just like warmed my heart because yeah, like Obi-Wan and Padme like did interact in those prequels.
Oh, yeah,
and
for
then to like
decades,
have
yeah.
this full circle, yeah, that was a very special moment. So wanted to reiterate that.
Anything else, Taylor?
It was just this show was just full of surprises again. Like the whole dynamic like you were talking about with Leia and Obi-Wan. I really, really enjoyed that a lot. I thought it adds so much more weight to when you get that moment of New Hope where she's like, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope." And it's cool that you mentioned this, Travis, earlier, that we saw Luke and Obi-Wan have this connection and this relationship, but to get this relationship now, I just think this is very rich, and this is just very, very important to both characters to have this dynamic. And it's interesting how Obi-Wan, like, again, he was in hiding, he was afraid, and he chose to stay on Tatooine and watch over the boy, but it's interesting how he just looked to Luke as being the primary over Leia over this time, and that really gets reflected here. But it's nice that we're just exploring it, is what I mean. So
Yeah. Well, here you go, ladies and gentlemen. We did almost 2.5 hours on this episode. Thank God. Thank you, Disney, for releasing this early, because this would have been killer doing all this later and whatnot. But at least next week, if we do have to do it at midnight, it'll just be the one episode. So even though, man, I don't want to binge stuff, it's great to take it in. But at the same time, I would just fucking love to binge this all right now just to see the end point. But Gentlemen, this was a very, very fun review. This was good. I cannot wait to review this every week. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be doing this every week at midnight. And then when Miss Marvel starts, we'll be doing that like the following Wednesday after. So if you're wondering what happens there, Obi-Wan, of course, we're saying that's going to be the first up. And then Miss Marvel the next day, and then newscast, and we'll have Top Gun review and everything. So look out. Not sure. We got to talk about this off air when we'll do a newscast, but because it's already 1 a.m. here, we'll do that another day. We don't want to rush through that stuff because we got great stuff to talk about there, trailers and details and new shows. So hopefully Star Wars is having a nice win streak, and it's starting off with a good, I at least say a home run for these 2 episodes. So ladies and gentlemen, may the Force be with you.
Always.